Michael J. Nelson and Connor Listoka here. Connor sporting a, for those of you who have the video, we have to figure out how to do this. Sorry, we're also recording video now. For you who are just listening, that is why the occasional references to actually seeing one another, which we haven't done in a long time.
And which we highly discourage.
Highly, don't ever look at us, no. But this is 372 pages, We'll Never Get Back. And it's the podcast where we talk about bad books. And we're finishing up a book. I don't want to call it bad yet. We'll see. We'll withhold judgment on that until later. Yeah.
It could be like one of those video games where they're like, it takes 6 hours for it really to get going.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the cutscenes stop. You get to finally start playing.
Right.
I also want to call attention to you launched into Connor was sporting and then left off like whatever I was sporting.
Oh,
you got distracted by explaining the video.
Yeah, I was probably saying sporting a new video angle, which maybe that's what I dropped. Okay, sorry about that. Connor is sporting as well. I'm from the 20s. Yes. He's a sporting chap. I love that man. Quite sporting.
We did a little unintentional color coordination. We're both rocking yellow.
That's true. Sporting, I would say, yellow.
Yellow, in honor of the bright sun shining underground in the land of the Mopek, which the teen archaeologists have been exploring for the past 3 episodes, and which is wrapping up here today.
Which, by the way, the sun does not shine in the jungle, but we'll get to that. And so Teen Mopek is the book. What's the full title? The Adventures of the Teen Archaeologists
in the land of the Mopek. Book 1. Book 1, History of the World, Part 1. They came out of the gate hot, but I have an email. We're not going to have time for emails because this is a long section.
Yeah,
but we should read this one. It's a good introduction to this whole thing.
Okay.
Because I think that we talked about this before, but we recently revealed, I think just on a Patreon episode, that Charles Kim wrote How to Improve the Middle Class, I think. How to Revive the Middle Class. Which was just... He rewrote or edited Super Constitution for no apparent reason. We don't know why, but when you buy these on Amazon, like roughly 50% of the people who get them are getting copies signed by Charles Kim, sometimes personalized.
I'm assuming responding to criticism, like who are some of the literary, like the New York Times. The
Kirkus,
Kirkus reviews.
They gave it a half star.
And no, but they said, if he would have eliminated the story elements and just sort of made a dry book about how a one-world government with unlimited power would solve everything, we'd be on board. And he's like, I'm jumping on that.
We found the breath-holding unrealistic. He got rid of that.
Yes.
Evidently, so the same thing has happened with this book, and I'm not making this up.
What?
This is an email from Mark. Denise... using a different pen name, I forget what it is, wrote a book called Chantico. She wrote I'm just going to read the email from Mark. He says, this is spoilers for Denise's other book, Chantico. I don't think you should do it for the podcast, and he explains why. He says, are you interested in a book about teen archaeologists, one in which a British Manson-dwelling family with 3 teens, an older boy with a younger brother, and a sister who bicker constantly, fly on their private plane to another continent where their parents meet their local archaeologist friends, and their siblings join up with 3 other teenagers who take them to see some local entertainment. Then, the 6 teens go off to find some ruins with hieroglyphics and manage to unlock an entranceway to a long-hidden land, where they encounter flying dinosaurs, are captured by warriors, including the head warrior, and are taken to this land's king, who says they can never leave. King who enjoys being entertained by dancers, festivals, and competitions among the students of multiple warrior schools, including an all-female school. Flying dinosaurs repeatedly attack, carrying victims off to their island across the ocean, where princesses are attended by multiple maidens, one of whom is pushed off a balcony by a villain who often smiles wickedly. All in a book which people speak or whisper sarcastically 33 times, in which person's age is explicitly stated, in which faces are slapped 20 times.
Oh, that's more than this book.
And in which multiple characters are introduced well into the book, only to be summarily displaced with names like Pohuata, Butupu, and Shahana. If you're so, you're in luck, because Chantico in the Land of the Aztecs by D. Pepper Lois is now available. So he posted rewritten excerpts of this, which, I mean, they're incredible. It's the exact same thing.
What year are we talking?
I don't know, probably a few years after this, but
What is happening?
So they go to Mexico. I mean, shut up, Tabitha, Stephen responded. Shut up, you troll, Tabitha responded. Your boyfriend is a troll. Where's your girlfriend, Stephen? Oh, right, you don't have one. Will you two quit it, Jeremy asked.
Oh, wow.
It has the phrase, what is a mall, which I think one of them said when they got to Mopek. And this is we'll move on to the actual book, but Mark said this is his favorite Ellis callback. The king ordered entertainment to begin. 20 Aztec dancers came into the chamber and performed in the middle of the floor as everyone continued to eat the meal. Musicians played instruments off to the sides as the beautiful young women danced. Magicians came in and performed magic tricks. And circus performers came in with monkeys on tricycles. So I think that was something from Antigua. That was the monkeys riding trikes,
Yes.
provoking many whiplash references. But so, I mean, the plot thickens. Why? How many of our other authors will have done this?
What?
Will Dan Brown someday rewrite Digital Fortress with the slight tweaks to, I guess, hope that you can lightning will strike this time?
Was there a financial motivation? What?
I mean, there's a certain someone missing from the whole picture.
Let's see. Okay.
So maybe it's like Taylor's version. Taylor Swift recording all those old masters so she can get the actual proceeds from them.
That is probably exactly it. All right.
Larry got the proceeds from the books in the splits, and she decided that she needed to get her own share.
With his proceeds, he got one of those permanent mugs at the bar that hangs about with his name on the little slot.
Finally getting the Mug Club membership, baby.
Oh, that is incredible! Literally incredible. Now we have to do an episode knowing all of that. Like, I just want to start reading that book. But
no, well, this is great. Everything you'd hope
amazing.
for. It's you want it all, and let's just get right into it because like I said, it is pretty long. I'm sure we have the same first thing marked at this point.
Sure, I'm positive we do. If we don't, I think we should just fold up.
Sign off.
We'll just stop. Yeah.
Chapter 12. It starts off. This has happened, I think, at least 3 times at this point in time, where the daughter Aswenta tries to convince King Trishan. She has indisputable evidence that the son, the prince, and the sorceress are planning a coup, and the king is like, "I don't want to hear it," and then someone storms out of the room.
Yes.
So she goes to try to do this for the 4th or 5th time. And it starts going pretty well at the beginning.
Yeah, he has a lot of chambers, by the way, right? Which chamber is he in? What chamber?
His throne.
This is his throne room. Okay, so he's just hanging out in his throne room.
But the throne is a chamber, yeah. Well, you need to have so many chambers because once you're storming out of them, and then you're storming out of something again very quickly.
Yeah, you got to go to something. Yeah, it becomes a Fado farce at that point with doors opening and people walking. Yes.
But so he says, she says, "What happened to us, father?" And do you want to tell him what they say?
Yes. This is their touching moment. "Daughter, I miss your smile," the king responded. "I miss your company. I miss you cheating me when we play knockers in the garden with the balls." It's probably longer than that, but that's the quote. That's the quote. They go back and forth about cheating at balls. Knockers with the balls.
We'll get ahead of it. Multiple people as the dumb sentence of the week. It was quite intriguing. I thought it was like, it has like 3 different words that you'd want to like leave out of your wedding toast in that one sentence. Be like, "I remember when she would cheat when we played knockers with the balls." Like, oh my God, the king has had a few.
I just wrote, I have boys. They're both married, so I guess I could say it to my daughter-in-law. But I just regret that I'll never have the chance. Daughter, I miss your smile.
Thanksgiving challenge for people out there.
Yes.
If you have a daughter-in-law or a daughter, corner them in the kitchen, hand on the wall. They're trying to prepare something and start talking about knockers. I think that's probably like bocce ball or
I
Buckeyes,
guess it must be. Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, who are we to throw stones? We play a game called cornhole, so
Some people watch people play it on TV. So that's,
and people call it bags just so they don't have to. Which I don't know that improves that much, but instead of having to call it cornhole, right?
I think that cornhole is one out. You know. That's
Okay.
Just,
All right.
I think bags was a regional term, but
Okay.
I mean, there's a game. We have a game called ladder golf that some people call donkey balls. So like,
Oh yeah.
So yeah. We'll just-
But King Treshond responds once again with anger. This is like the 10th time, right? As he said. But this one that he says when he breaks out after her, like, please, please, this guy is obviously going to kill you. He's like walking around with that Grinch smile, and he's like sharpening knives in his. What? What did you need something? Anyway, he responds with anger at his daughter. He said angrily. So let me read the whole thing. King Treshond became angered at his daughter again. He said angrily. And this is where I just heard it in the voice of that Will Ferrell dysfunctional family character from SNL. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I drive a Dodge Stratus.
You have no right to speak to your brother in such a manner. He is a prince, and one day will be king. You will show him the respect he deserves. I have grown tired of you, Aswenta. You will stop this nonsense at once. That is an order. I drive a Dodge Stratus.
King, I'm just trying to warn you. Please be careful.
Yes.
Yeah. He became angered, so he then says it angrily.
Yes, exactly.
And then he's furious too later, and his heart is hardened. It says, and that's when he storms out of the chamber, leaving his daughter kneeling on the floor. So she was begging on her knees to please just listen to me.
He's going to kill you.
I had it in writing. Like, she's tried to kill me. She sent a Black Widow that became the floor.
Right.
And then essentially, once he storms out, I think she probably like walks out of the chamber, and then she overhears essentially, the worst Shakespearean conspirator is just confessing to these things for no apparent reason. He confesses to the death of King Machirpa. I was responsible for the death of King Machirpa. I did it so that my father to become king. He's just like confessing to a decade-old crime and to the advisor Johansson. And so she's behind the curtain, like cupping her hand to her ear so she can hear all this.
I mean, usually when you're wearing a wire, right, and you then like, okay, we have you on 10 crimes, and you're going to go in and wear this wire, and you're going to sit with them. Usually it's like, 10 hours of, so where do you want to get lunch? You want to,
right.
You're like, hey, remember that time we did that job? Like, which one are you talking? Hey, pass me them bolognas over there.
The guys in the truck are like,
oh my God,
I
get
thought
to
the
it.
FBI was going to be exciting.
But this guy just immediately, I was responsible. I did it so that, just like, wow, the people in the truck going, holy, he's giving us all.
There's a weird bulge in your shirt, Johansson, that looks sort of like a... Let me just talk into that specifically.
Yes. That was incredible.
So she hears all that, and, I mean, she's had multiple things, evidence in confessing all this, but this is going to finally be what she needs. She realizes she needs to get help from Billy and everything, and from the other teens. And so I like this part, and I'm going to use a little audio effect here. So just one second. I got to cue it up. She whispered to herself, "Billy, I need your help. I must get you out of your resting chamber so you can help me." Tears rolled down her cheeks. Aswenta walked into the girls' chamber and said, "Hello, girls." It's an ad. Oh, let me set it up again. God damn it. She walked into the girls' chambers and said, "Hello, girls." God, I had watched it.
There we go.
Okay.
I knew that was what it was supposed to be.
All right, we'll edit all that out and set it up to play right. Wow.
Yes, and then she, the teens, it's the girls' chamber, right? The teens' girls' chamber, whatever. She says to the princess, "Princess, we really are sorry for the trouble that we have caused. We hope that we haven't caused you any trouble." What?
I feel like we had a line in a Riff Tracks movie that's exact. Oh, isn't there a line in Plan 9? You're telling me that aliens exist. Aliens do exist. I don't know.
Yes.
Something like that. Well, I'm glad she apologized and then denied whatever that had caused the apology to be even warranted in the first place. And so she says, like, you got to come to this dinner. That my father's not angry at you anymore. And then she gets access to the boys' chambers, and she slips Billy a note.
This is amazing.
It's incredible. And so she like kisses on a cheek to throw the guards off, and then Billy begins to read the note out loud.
Yes.
And it is quite the note. Like, I thought the note was going to be like, I need help, meet me behind the throne room at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
But let's just get Billy, I need your help. King Trishand is in grave danger. He doesn't even know it. Isabella, the king's own advisor, Johansson, the warriors Baltazar and Cadmon are all in on the plot with my brother. King Trishand is about to be assassinated by his very own son, Prince Rayshawn. Turns page. And I believe this is going to happen tonight at the evening meal.
Okay, I think I get the... Oh, it's going
Billy,
on.
my
Okay.
brother is evil.
All right, okay.
I had found out recently that my brother is the one that was responsible for the assassination of my grandfather, King Machirpa. Remember, I told all of you about the death of my grandfather and the statue.
Action item. What's the action item?
My brother is a murderer. I will not let him assassinate. Continued on page 3. My father also. He did it once to my family, but he shall not do it twice. I can stop him, but I can't do it alone, Billy. My life is also in danger. The prince has the option of banishing me from the kingdom if I oppose him without proof. I could be forced to live in the jungle outside of the kingdom for the rest of my life. It's like, all right, we don't need your life story. It keeps going.
It's as though you were in an elevator, in Hollywood or something. Like, oh, that's the producer so-and-so. Hey, I've got a real quick idea for a movie. Like, I don't usually, but okay, I'm getting off at the 10th, so go. Hit me with it, kid.
Sizzle me, baby.
And then backpack, full script, 6.5 pounds of script in your
Bruce
hands.
Wayne and his parents are walking down an alley. So back up. His father is named Thomas. And, all right, I'm getting out. I didn't even get to tell you he became Batman.
You slipped me a note. You slipped him a novel. Like with all sorts of details, as she was writing the note, was there someone behind her going like, I don't think you need to just scratch out that part. Like, no, it's pretty important that he knows
You're
the
stapling
backstory.
An appendix to your note. But she also says, I like this because it just made you realize they had no idea what rebels mean. I could be forced to live out in the jungles. There are others living out in the jungles who have already been banished from the kingdom in the past. They are nothing but rebels now. Like, were they rebels before you exiled them? That's sort of a key point to the whole thing. They don't become rebels once they're living out there. They're just, they're their own people, I guess. I don't know.
Spoiler alert, I think the many mentioned rebels are kind of bleary on it out of this story. Technically, there are rebels. We'll get to it, but anyway.
Yeah, I think they come on pretty strong. I think they have their moments. All right, and then so on that same note, Isabella comes up. Talk about getting bleary on it. I mean, not to get ahead of that, but Isabella comes up to the prince again, and they have more things to confess for the FBI guys listening. But I like that she comes up to him and gives him a jar, and then whispers to herself. Oh, I'm sorry. She's by herself. She takes a bottle from the prince and goes back to her table and whispers to herself, this is the most potent African violet poison in the entire kingdom of the Mopek. No one can survive even one drop of this poison. The king himself is no match against the power of my magic. This will finish him once and for all. Soon the land of the Mopek will be mine. It will be mine and that of my prince. And then Isabella, hurry up! You can fantasize. Sorry, I guess I was over there whispering for a really long time. That was weird.
That was perfect. I had that as a sonic challenge for you,
good.
so
I'm
thank you
glad
for
I
doing
got
that
ahead of it.
unbidden. Everyone arrived at the dining chamber for the meal, right?
It's a dining chamber. Got it.
Yeah,
nice.
this is
Another chamber.
This is the plot. So he's got the note. He's absorbed it all. He probably had to reread it like 17 times. Wait, what? He made a string board. Like, okay, Billy is the... Everyone arrived at the dining chamber for the meal. Prince Rayshawn signaled for the royal tasters Boltar. This is where it's tough. Royal tasters Boltar, India, Adalia, Zulu, and Shalazar to begin tasting all the food and drink. Boltar pretended to taste the bottle of poisoned water, but he really didn't. So like toddler level stuff of like, pretending to drink tea. Like,
Yeah.
oh boy, this sure is poison free.
Eat this Play-Doh I made you. Like, okay.
Oh, nummy, so good. They're the professional tasters. Like, it's pretty important that they get this thing right, and nobody's watching them. Like, yeah, it's good. No, I drank a bunch. Ooh,
really
so
good.
full. Nom, 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 nom.
Cunning. It's a cunning ruse.
It's amazing.
But they, no one else really got it. I guess Boltar was in on it, but India, Idalia, Zulu, and Shalazar just, they were sort of like, I guess I'll try the Brussels sprouts. Boltar will try the drink. So there we go.
Yeah. I'll do the dessert this time. Shalazar, you always get the dessert. Come on, man.
Shalazar is like, oh, come on, guys. So Billy has been filled in on this with a lengthy note, and I just liked this level of what Billy showed up here, knowing that the king is going to try to be assassinated. What is he going to do? It says he wanted to help stop the plot to assassinate the king, but he didn't know how exactly he was going to do it. The princess had asked for his help at the very last moment. Billy was not prepared to deal with any of this. And so he essentially just stands up and like bumps into the serving maiden who was about to give the king the poisoned water, which that's of all the things you could have done, that it got the job done.
Yeah, he suddenly becomes Kramer at that point. But quite a mood switch here, because then, this happens, and shocking, because this is the dining chamber for the meal. And this mood switch is good. Queen Rashinda said, "Don't worry, young visitor. It was just an accident. There is plenty of water in the kingdom of Mopek." Everyone started laughing. The maiden bowed her head and said, "Excuse me, your majesty." She backed away and went to get more water. Prince Rayshawn said angrily, "Sit back down to the table now, Billy. Try not to be such an idiot." So that was everyone was laughing. It's like, ooh, speaking of Thanksgiving, like Uncle Ted Uncle Ted went off about how much he hates modern jelly beans again. Oh boy,
that's not.
Here we go.
Doesn't care for some certain colors of jelly beans. That's
everyone else is like, so much water here. You're right. Listen, you son of a bitch.
I did like the idea of like a notable assassin or something, bursting out like that, Squeaky Fromm or something, and, calling someone an idiot as the Secret Service agents are trying to tackle her.
Everyone whispering into their sleeve, looking at him as he rages over the guy who spilled the water. I think we got our target here. I think we're good.
Yeah, I guess those he has wanted to kill the teenagers there for the first time, so it doesn't really come as a out of character moment for him.
Yes,
it's still
that's
like,
true.
All right, I guess not a lighthearted meal. I'll gonna make my toast awkward.
But it ends fair. I think this for an almost a thwarted assassination, a conspiracy. It ends rather passively. Oh, and then the threat of killing all the teens. Well, here it comes.
Sure.
Prince Rayshawn, enraged.
Not a verb.
That's a sentence. Prince Rayshawn, enraged. He yelled, "Father, this is an insult." So again, I'm not going to yell it, especially not on video. He is trying to cause tension and trouble amongst this kingdom. I told you when they first arrived here in our kingdom that they should be destroyed. Now you see that I am right. You have disrupted this kingdom enough, the king said angrily. I have grown tired of allowing you to live amongst us. My son is right. I will put a stop to this now by having all of your lives end. I'm going to kill you all. It's just such a passive way to do it.
Right.
Like, we're going to, what are we going to do? Well, put you on one of those wheels, where they tear all of your limbs off, but it takes like 9 hours or something of torture.
Yeah, the brazen bull. That was
exactly. I'm going to roast you in a bronze bull until we hear your screams come out of the nostrils by having your lives end.
Come on, King. We haven't we haven't tortured anyone to death in a long time. You got to sell the sizzle here. I liked that, people are like, no, King, please. The queen, the princess are all like that. The prince's fiance, Lady Stephanie, began to cry. She called out, Rayshawn, no. Just a glimpse into their relationship. It's nice to have such a richly developed tapestry.
A little bit of a sonic challenge for this one, too. Mm-hmm. Prince Rayshawn turned around and yelled, "Father, why aren't you listening to me? I am prince in the land of Mopek. Doesn't my word mean anything to you? King Trishon said sadly. Move out of the way, Rayshon. One guy's yelling. The other guy's saying sadly.
Well, yeah, the mood swings in this are
Yes.
rapid because it all happened so quickly. The king is saying, I'm going to kill the teens, and essentially they just, he's sad because he has, they've said, he's trying to kill you with this water, and the royal taster has spilled the water, so the king is starting to believe that maybe this is an actual assassination attempt. So that's why he's sad now.
Yes, the king he's not the brightest bulb on the tree. Let's just say that.
And I would be, shaking with fear, rage. Like I wouldn't immediately be sad that my son had tried to kill me. That's like
I'm kind of sad.
that's a move reserved for like godfathers. Like really cold-blooded people who have seen a lot. I don't feel like the king is in that elite company.
If I turn around at Thanksgiving and George and August have, knives raised, I'm like, oh, really, guys?
Guys,
this is
Jeez.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna miss Bob Seger at the halftime of the Lions game now. Shucks. And then I did like this. They say that the royal taster, they do not specify which one, even though they. Oh no, is it Boltar? It could be Boltar.
Boltar's he's the one
With the cunning ruse.
Who
He's the
faked
water guy.
Yeah, he's the one.
Yeah,
who went,
he's the
nom,
water
nom,
guy.
nom, so wet.
And Boltar is like it's a good name. It's sort of like a Conan adjacent name, a fantasy novel. And there was a line earlier that I liked. I was like, this is the kind of shit you only hear in fantasy novels. It was, will you allow your very own blood son to be dishonored, my king? It just is like you just never get that in like a hardware store. You never hear anyone saying that. So.
That's true.
But so the guard took the cup out of the taster's hand and forcefully made him take a sip. Suddenly, the man started to tremble. He had trouble breathing. He was gasping for air. White foam came out of his mouth. His body started to convulse. He collapsed to the floor and died. So that's, you don't get many sequences like that in these books. So I enjoyed it when it happened.
Yeah, it was a little Game of Thronesy,
Sure,
I guess.
yeah.
Games of Throny. I don't know, whatever.
You sort of feel bad for the guy, but he knew what he was signing up for. This is it's what happens when you're a food taster. That's why you're there.
Right. So, wake up call to King Trishon. So I guess he finally understands and believes the conspiracy. So King Trishon yelled, and this again is a tough energy to keep up. So he's yelling, "Guards, take Prince Rayshon, the Mopek warriors Balthasar and Cadmon, my so-called friend and advisor Johansson, and Isabella into custody at once." It's not exactly Bookham Dano, it's a little more involved.
Yeah, it's no, I knew it was Eufredo type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, he's adding people onto the list as he's yelling.
Yes.
And speaking of him yelling, I liked this one because he essentially says, now, Aswenta, you're going to be the queen because your brother's going to be exiled. And he gives her this speech about how he wants her to live that is like just whiplash back and forth. He says, one day you will rule as queen. Listen to what I have to say. Aswenta, when you become queen, do not trust anyone, my daughter. Keep your enemies close to you so you can keep a close eye on them. Rule this kingdom with an iron fist. Treat the kingdom of the Mopek as if it were your very own mother. Love her and honor her always. Well, that's very nice, And if anyone betrays her, destroy them. Destroy anyone who is a threat to you or this kingdom. It's just like, all right.
Like a mother?
It is if he was, giving his wedding toast, being like, and I just have always been so happy she turned into a beautiful woman. I'm so happy for her husband to be. We used to play knockers in the kingdom, man. Speaking of knockers, and balls.
Oh dear, the tonal shifts.
She would always cheat at knockers. It was so cute. Just like, I cheated on my first wife. Oh, so I'm glad I ended up with your mom because, man, she could give it, out more than your first mom ever could.
I love to see your smile, my daughter, especially when you slit the throat of one of our enemies who tries to touch your kingdom.
So, yeah, that's good.
It ends with, I think, one of the better Yells. I know I'm obsessed, but there's so much yelling. This one is so funny. So I will not do the whole thing, but imagine this yelled. King Trishan yelled, "No, my son, you did not do these things for me. You did it for yourself. You destroyed my father and your very own grandfather so that I could become king. And you attempted to destroy me so that you could become king. What? Did you think that I would be grateful for?" It goes on. There's another 3 paragraphs. Not 3 paragraphs, 3 sentences.
He yells what in the middle of it? Like he's Little John or something? What? Yeah, it's great. He yelled, "You wanted both me and your grandfather out of the way. Well, now I want you out of the way. Ah, damn it! I wish that had sounded cooler. All right, end the chapter. That's bad. Damn it."
Someone's, sponging up Boltar's foamy mouth right in the corner. Like, how long is he going to yell? We need time to scrape the body off the sidewalk.
Yeah, wow, his blood traveled down his digestive tract really quickly, and it is leaking out. Ugh, boy,
Oh,
I've never seen a mess like this. Yeah, let's end the chapter and move on from there.
Yes, okay.
Chapter 13 has Isabella. He's, because he yelled, "Take Isabella into custody." So now she, I guess, has heard that. She's running like a wounded animal through the palace and gardens. There's no way she's going to take the Mopek warriors into custody, and she's just like doing stuff as she runs. She walked past the beautiful flowers in the garden and waved her hands. Suddenly, all the flowers in the garden turned black, shriveled, and died, just like a wounded animal. And then she walks past the petting zoo, which they call a petting zoo this time. Didn't they call it a petty zoo before?
Petty zoo, yeah.
Okay. And then she waved her hands, and suddenly all the locked cages unlocked themselves. Monkeys, lions, horses, elephants, and zebras were running everywhere. And we don't want to spend too much time here, but I had a question that was like, so how much of beneath Earth is this kingdom consisting of? Because there's, lush species diversity. There's like those enormous carnivorous plants from the beginning.
Yeah.
You have all these various, species, but like, is there a whole sub-Earth, like a Matryoshka Earth down there? Or is it just, did they get really lucky? Like they're a Galapagos Island down here where it was perfectly suited to have elephants and monkeys from the same, gene pool or whatever. We don't need to actually talk about it. But.
Well, I was thinking of, is it one of those, occasionally, I think they found one like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, where it's just a big cavern that has its own ecosystem, where they discover the cave entrance of it. So it has some light, but it's a big bowl, and it can be like 2,000 feet deep or something. So they have to like helicopter down into it. Then they'll find these species that have been cut off for like, hundreds of thousands of years or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it's like that, sort of.
Yeah, but
only
those are like
20 million times larger.
Sure, yeah, they had a lot more time for all this to happen. But in those caves, it's like, oh, it's a brand new species, like incredible. Yeah, it's like a slightly crappier centipede, It's like,
right, yeah.
You can like only like one guy can tell the difference between the two of them. It's not.
It has one more segment. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that, but with zebras. So anyway, for whatever reason, that stuck out to me as we near the finish line of this book.
Yeah, so she destroys what I think is like a petting zoo that you might find in, speaking of 101 Dalmatians or something, like in the park, where it's just like, oh, the kids like to come here and look, she's running by and ruining our petting zoo.
Yeah, come on.
And then here it is. I think she is pursued by one of the petting zoo staff who's like, man, I didn't get paid enough for this, but okay.
The animal handler, Nabil?
Yes. So she looked at Nabil angrily. She put her hand up, and the power from her hand forced Nabil up into the air. That can't be the end of it, and it isn't. He flew through the air and into a tree.
Oh,
Yes.
I can't count right now, but I think I have 23 exclamation marks on my note where I said yes. It's so good. It's so good.
And Nabil, he's just a park guy. Just like he punched in on one of those old timey gray clocks that make the big chunk when you put your card into it.
He's forced to wear sort of like the Jungle Cruise tour guide outfit. He's changing out of his Slayer t-shirt and into that, just being like, man, I'm glad none of my friends come to see me at work. I look like such a dork.
He has to pretend to be nice when the kids come up. Is that a zebra? God. It is a zebra, Courtney.
What the hell else would it be, you idiot? And so she forces him into a tree, which is not the last time that trees are going to play a role here. I'm pleased to report. She also makes fires come up by pointing her finger. Fire landed in front of the men and then turned into a great ball of fire.
Goodness gracious.
And then she climbed onto a horse. She used her magic to force the warriors who were guarding the entrance to the gate to fly through the air and right into each other. Like, damn it.
What? It's right there.
They all screamed as they flew through the air. They were all knocked unconscious. She used her magic to force the entrance to the front of the kingdom open. She makes an explosion with her fingers. It's like pretty impressive stuff, like one after another. You really wonder why they needed to rely on, poison and then Baltar, the taster, to assassinate the king, when you probably could have just been like, bam, and he's in a puff of smoke.
Yeah, so she's got like Sauron-like powers of just like holding people, thrusting very powerful wizards against walls and spinning them around. Just killed the king. I don't understand making Black Widow spiders that disappear. That seems
right. She hasn't taken the control of the throne now, and then she's relying on losers like Prince Rayshawn. It's sort of like someone who's always like, yeah, I've been working on a novel. It's like, you've been working on that novel for 8 years. Like, you've been trying to take over this throne for a long time now. Just do it or abandon the pretense here.
So right during that segment of the action set piece, suddenly there was an explosion right in front of Nadur and his warriors. You could also see a lot of smoke. Now this, I don't know if this has come before. This is quite an innovation. Switching to second person?
Yeah.
Very few books. I can only think of one, and I'm sure everyone will think of it immediately. There's only one book I know that uses second person.
Yeah. Bright Lights, Big
Bright
City?
Bright Lights, Big City.
Oh, man.
You. But you could see. So we're there all of a sudden.
Fascinating, yeah.
And it comes up again, but I just took note like, oh, I can? Wow. Which character am I? Who am I?
Ooh, yeah, I want to be animal trainer Nabil. I guess he's in a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Someone did point out, I think in a dumb sentence, that we got some more second person. So.
Oh, okay.
But good news for people who take this seriously and were shaken up. As soon as Isabella disappeared, I think she puffs the smoke herself out of there. As soon as Isabella disappeared, the missing children reappeared right in front of the crowd. Tex, Alexis, Latifa, Catalina, and Benitha ran up to the children and gave them all big hugs. Benitha is written like beneath the surface of the earth with an A on the end of it. So I'd say Latifa and Benitha were hanging out, and I can just, tip my cap.
But my question was, what is going on here physically? Where is everyone gathered? They're all, like a big crowd is gathered to watch Isabella escape and shoot fireballs. Huh. And then all of a sudden they're standing there as a big crowd. So everyone's watching this because they don't just gather at the last second when right? Yeah, they're all hanging around. So maybe they were just at the petting zoo, like everyone in Mopec was at the petting zoo.
Yeah,
including the missing parents
thing or something.
Yeah, and the missing parents people were like, I guess, putting up stapling flyers to telephone poles, and then all of a sudden, hey, that's her, that's Isabella, and then she's doing the fireball thing. And then all of a sudden, their children appear, and they're like, yay!
Oh, Benitha Jr., I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, the crowd of Mopec people began to cheer and clap their hands. So there was a crowd around watching.
Yeah, they could have been like carrying pitchforks or something to track her down because the king had yelled. He tacked on as he was yelling that he wanted her to be arrested too.
Sure.
I don't know. That'd be great if pitchforks were the one thing that didn't exist in the land of the Mopec.
What is pitchfork?
Pitchforks and malls. We smash cut to this detail. King Trishand would not attend the banishment ceremony, which I'm excited to learn that is a thing.
They had it all ready to go. So just someone has to pull out the book like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's all right. We got the is this a true ceremonial garb is necessary for this one, or is it a informal banishment ceremony? It's the prince, so I guess it's got to be full.
Well, here's how they go. I think it's worth talking about the banishment ceremony because he didn't, as he said, he didn't attend because he was too heartbroken to know that he had to order his only son banished from the kingdom forever. The king's holy men were at the banishment ceremony, so you have that. Abramson, Acanthus, and Bertimus stood off to the side and prayed for Prince Rayshon. Queen Rashonda, Princess Aswenta, the teen archaeologists, which now become and the rest.
Coupled, yeah.
Several warriors, all of the maidens, and the princess's fiancée, Lady Stephanie, were all there at the banishment ceremony. Lady Stephanie's mother, Lady Zahara, and her sister, Lady Daphna, stood by her side. How old are these people? I don't know. It's driving me insane. I can't. They comforted Lady Stephanie as she cried. So that's what a banishment ceremony looks like, just in case you were wondering.
I believe, I don't think we got all the details I wanted about Lady Stephanie's aunt, Lady Daphna. But I'm sad to report this is going to be the last appearance of Lady Stephanie.
Damn.
Very disappointing. I liked the holy men praying because I wanted speaking of, I wanted a Charles Kim diversion into the theology of this thing, just dry details, or going back, to whatever their creation story is, something like that would have been great.
Later, there's a Nehemiah, so I'm okay, so right. All right, are they the Hebrew Bible? Or
stunning coincidence. It's just we have the same names. So these people. Nehemiah was a child actor that people named their kids after. He was the Justin Bieber of our time. This is great too. There's a few outliers in this section. You had the second person, and then we have this one too, which really stands out. The prince's best friend and cousin Victor stood in the background off to the side. Victor appeared once before. They were sparring in a sword fight. Nobody knew that he was even there. He didn't have the heart to get too close to the prince. He didn't know what to say to him. He was so disappointed in the prince that he decided to let go of him emotionally and just move on with his life. He walked away from the banishing ceremony and never looked back.
Oh no, not Victor.
Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. I just like he's it's unpacking it with a therapist or something in real time here. Maybe that's when Denise wrote her solo version of this book, that's what she had done. She decided to let go emotionally.
I hope there's a whole Victor book.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What is his journey after that? And then he wandered the land of Mopek into the dark jungles, past the island of the dinosaurs. There's got to be something past there, I'm assuming.
Sure, always. Yeah. Victor, a Mopek story.
Were you surprised at they've run out, right? There's a party. I don't know. I guess we got to pick things up here.
Sure.
The king's advisor, Johansson, yelled, "Don't leave me, wait for me." He ran out of the kingdom after them. Johansson was 62 years old, so he had a difficult time keeping up with the young warriors. I mean, it's like, listening to a radio personality for years, and then you see a picture of him, and you're like, oh, wow, okay. That
Voice
did not
match.
I didn't really have, if I had done an identikit or something in a sketch of him, maybe I'd probably come up with something way different. I guess I never have. But I was just surprised that Johansson couldn't keep up with the other, because he was 62.
For sure.
Thanks a lot, Ellis's.
Yeah, really. Do we know anything about life expectancy down here? I mean,
that's true. We don't know. Yeah,
that could be Methuselah down here for
right.
We know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm imagining just a long beard, hunched over cane for Johansson. But
because he's 62. Hang on there.
When you see what's going on down here, we don't know anything about their diets. I mean, no one's smoking, I guess, but
that's true.
The rickets, I imagine at all for the lack of sun would be important.
They're really into trans fats. It's really weird. Somehow
more trans fats tasters. Are they good today? Oh my God! Please stop making us eat.
Boltar, eat another pound of trans fats. Oh, sir.
We don't have gestures, so this is how I derive amusement, Boltar.
I'll go to the mall. Wait, we don't have the... Damn it. Eat some more trans fat.
Johansson, get on that mall project. It's been 20 years now. You started it when you were 42, a spry young 42.
I'll get on that then, okay.
Because you know you're not going to be keep up if I exile you, Johansson. So that is what you just read goes into a Hall of Fame transition. Johansson was 62 years old, so he had a difficult time keeping up with the young warriors. Meanwhile, Anthony, Elizabeth, Jabril, Babatunde, yes. Benjamin, and the hunters arrived at the Nile River.
That is why I was confused I'm looking at my script and my notes like, wait, am I in the wrong chapter? Like, no, that's the transition.
No. Yes, that's just pure Ellis magic. And after that, you get they're at the waterfall, and I think we covered this in Real or Fanfic.
We did, yes.
But without, Real or Fanfic, you sometimes don't know the context, and despite your best instincts, you give the authors benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt, like you would know what this sentence meant when you saw it. The last of the hunters tried to escape from the gigantic snake that was chasing them. First mention of the hunters, first mention of the giant snake in this transition. But just a great reveal there as well. And the gigantic snake slithered its way from behind the waterfall and wrapped the entire body around the man. That's a hunter. The snake pulled him underneath the water as they fell in, and then everyone else jumps into the river and gets pushed down it, and Anthony gets leeches all over himself.
And says, "Get the little vampires off of me," which yes. Isn't that is a direct quote from the other?
I had to go back and make sure this wasn't copy and pasted verbatim.
Okay.
It is not, but it is like, it could be, it's the same way as her other book. It's rewritten. He calls them vampires. The phrasing is slightly different for no apparent reason because no one would put it past them or be disappointed if they just copied and pasted it, but it's slightly different.
Okay. And who is Jabril just the friend or the friend of the friend?
Well, Jabril, I don't know. Benjamin is Babatunde's friend. I had to look that up.
Oh, we know Benjamin.
Because Benjamin comes in strong.
Oh, he comes in big time.
But Jabril, I don't know. I don't remember.
Jabril said, "Don't panic. It's not over yet." "What do you mean, Jabril?" Anthony asked curiously. "Talk to me, man." Has Anthony been just doing the man thing?
Yeah. He's...
Huggy Bear all of a sudden?
Yeah, or McConaughey. Come on, man! And remember that he is a wealthy British man. He has a mansion. So, come on, talk to me, man.
Slapping him with a white glove. Talk to me, man. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, what they're arguing about now is that Jabril is like, they're down in the kingdom of the Mopek, and Anthony's like, "I told you I don't believe in this lost civilization." And then he says, "Come on." Elizabeth says, "Calm down." Anthony says, "I'm sorry, you're right. Now is not the time for debate." And I just thought, maybe if this journey from Lagos to the Nile River had taken more than like 90 minutes, they could have hashed some of this out along the way.
Right.
If it had taken the month and a half that you might expect it to take if they made the journey on foot.
Right. But they get to so some of their hunters get hit in the neck with poisonous darts, right?
Well, unclear about this. The hunters did seem to be chasing them, but the hunters do seem to be part of their party as well.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Because they're climbing down.
Yeah.
He says, "Let the hunters go first," because they climb down the sarcophagus on the vines. And it says, the hunters climbed down one by one into the giant sarcophagus. Anthony looked down into the sarcophagus and said, "So this is a treasure hunter. It's never been said that he's a gigantic moron. However," he says, "I don't see the hunters anymore. They must have made it. If it wasn't safe, they would have signaled us by now." So the hunters are just lying in a pile of corpses at the bottom. They've been darted. They fell off the vine. But he takes their pure silence as a sign that everything's good and not they've vanished into a bottomless pit.
But we do get a little, you were asking for metaphysics, so we get a little bit of it, taste. The kingdom of the Mopek was alive from the souls and spirits of all the kings, queens, princes, and princesses that had passed on from this life. Passed on from this life, I believe, is, what religion is that? Well, never mind. Sorry, I lost my place. Their memories would live on forever in the minds of those that now lived in the land of the Mopek. So they'd live on forever in those that now live. So I think it's implying eternal life for those who are still alive. So the fact that that the advisor Johansson is 62 and decrepit already does not bode well. You got a lot of years left, man.
Right. I mean, Undying Land, like where the hobbits go off to, something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is wildly uncharacteristic. That
It's just out of nowhere.
You tip the cap. I don't know who that is though. Like, a spiritual guru that Larry met at the bar, maybe, that came back and put that in his ear or something like that. Or they did a Kickstarter, and that was a fan gets to write a passage or something.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
It just seems out of place, just like the second person. But you also, Elizabeth said, "Where is the sunlight coming from?"
Yeah, we get an answer.
Yeah, it very satisfying. Jabril said, "It's coming from the lost civilization of the Mopek." Okay, all right. Thank you.
That is a tautology. That's circular logic.
Yeah, your
where
computer
does
shuts down an infinite loop. We get another good part of the Huggy Bear speak, or maybe just Joss Whedon or something. Giant Venus flytrap. Anthony thought about the missing hunters and then whispered sarcastically, "No way."
Yes.
Suddenly, the hunters.
Suddenly,
the hunters all stood up from behind the bushes and trees. Anthony didn't know it at the time, but 2 men had been hit in the neck with poisonous darts. Several African warriors, are they Mopek or are they African? Again, circular logic. Stood behind each of the hunters with spears pointed at them. The hunters were the warriors' prisoners. Not only were the hunters their prisoners, but Elizabeth, Anthony, Benjamin, Babatunde, and Jabril were their prisoners also. So no more convoluted way to say that. And it also doesn't identify the Africans as Mopek. However, that's, of course, what it is.
I actually wrote, can you think of a worse way to write action? Anthony didn't know it at the time. So, wait, what's happened? But 2 men had been previously hit in the neck.
Yeah.
And then warriors stood behind each of the hunters, but the hunters and the warriors have not been clearly. Anyway, it is.
The hunters are also the men. The Africans who are also Mopeks are pointing spears at the 2 men / hunters who I assume are lying there unconscious, so the spears seem unnecessary, and they are then going to take everyone else as prisoner.
Yes.
They bring them back to the civilization. They introduce them. There's a little reunion. It says, Adam and Akita felt safe for the first time in days. I don't know when they felt safe. I think they were in a dungeon 48 hours ago, so I'm not sure,
Yeah.
It's people have said, they explicitly said, "I want to kill you," or "I'm going to kill you," at some point in time. But what does Benjamin do? Okay, yeah. So Benjamin comes up strong for the first time and not the last time. Mopek warriors point the spears at the teens and the rescuers. Benjamin looked over at Anthony and the hunters. Benjamin didn't have to say anything. The men all knew what they had to do. Anthony and the other men overpowered the guards who were escorting them. They took the warrior spears from them and held their hostage. The king yelled, "What are you doing?"
Okay, I'm sure you have this as a note, but what does this remind you of? Anthony stood up and yelled at the king, "Give us back our children."
Give me back my sword!
There you go.
Is that Harrison Ford or Mel Gibson?
Give me back my... They both had those yelling things. Give me back my son is, yes,
Mel
Ransom. Get off my plane.
Get off my plane.
Give me back my plane. I don't know.
Don't shoot.
Don't shoot. No. It's over. Let her go.
I told Lauren about this the other day. I don't remember what the name was, but there was a movie that was like 15 years ago that we were briefly obsessed with, because in the trailer, I think it was like Diane Lane yelled, "They hacked into my car's computer!"
Yes.
Do you remember that? It was
I do.
Very briefly. And we were setting up a new dishwasher that has Wi-Fi in it. And I was like, yeah, we all laughed at this the other day, but they hacked into my dishwasher is something that I'm sure is, has happened to someone, and that's how they lost all their crypto or something. So that movie was ahead of its time.
What was the TV show that this is like 10 years ago during the Super Bowl with there was a yelling line in it, and it played like 700 times.
Well, there was one during who was that guy? Ron?
Yeah, Ron Silver. Yeah,
Her father is the district attorney. Yes. It was during every ad of the World Series. I think
the World Series.
Skin, I think, was the show.
Yeah, give me back my district attorney.
was canceled during the middle of the first episode or something. And here we go. They're all walking through the jungle. Anthony has overpowered the king's men. They are holding them with spears. Nadur and all of them are upset. Suddenly, several strange men blocked all of their way and held them as hostages. And so I was like, is this finally it? Is this finally the rebels? It is not.
No.
However, and it says, we got here by following you. You didn't even know we were following you. You made it so easy for us. You led us right here. It really doesn't matter who I am, but my name is Sebastian. And that's probably the truest sentence in the book. What do I want? I want treasures. I want lots and lots of treasures. My men here with me also want lots and lots of treasures.
My sister Tina is here also.
And so the king is like, God damn it, you have brought death and destruction to our kingdom. To which I was like, well, the dinosaurs are also kind of to blame here. They're the ones carrying people off to their island. But before you can really nitpick about that, the ground starts to shake. And you get this exchange. King Treshant yelled, "It's the giant gorilla beast. He's coming." Benjamin yelled, "Who is coming?" "A giant gorilla." Oh, I really thought I misheard you the first time. I did hear that. It just didn't really process because that's so absurd. But yeah, a giant gorilla. You were pretty explicit.
Well, apparently, though, the king, Benjamin must have just blank stared at him and, jaw shook his head because the king goes, "A giant gorilla. He's a gigantic creature."
Yeah,
okay, no, I got you.
Yeah. Sorry,
That is why we built the gigantic wall around our kingdom. Benjamin's finally like, "Oh shit,
yeah.
Guys, circle up, man. Giant gorilla."
I was just
we heard him. We were standing right here.
Yeah. Are you okay? Yeah,
Benjamin, man.
He and Nadur passed him some of the plant they all smoke down there, and it hits a newcomer pretty hard.
That is still more questions. We built the wall to keep the giant gorilla out of our kingdom. You guys aren't moving. We must get the children and the women back inside the walls of the kingdom to safety. You're still not. They're not safe out here. King's pushing the people. Benjamin's finally like, I get it.
Yeah, right. Bro, we're all in horrible danger. Man, at least I'm going to die incredibly stoned. What would have been great is being like, do you guys... Oh, okay. You guys don't have gorillas up there. That makes sense. I mean, we have these things called gorillas down here. And in fact, I don't even know why we specify that it's giant. We have gorillas, and to us, that's what gorillas are. They're 21 feet tall and weigh over 800 pounds. So it's redundant to call them giant because this is the only one we have.
And they have 2.7% of the strength of a regular gorilla if he were that size.
Right.
It's very convoluted, but you'll see once he gets here. You'll see. It'll all make sense. We'll just play one round of gorilla kill, and you'll get it after that.
But maybe that hesitation, however brief it was, to convince Benjamin of the danger here, they send all the kids and the women back inside. But that allows the gorilla to get close enough to wreak some absolute havoc. And it kicks ass.
Tears of laughter on this one. Please read it for me.
The gigantic creature yelled out and then reached down and picked up one of Sebastian's men named Walker. So if Sebastian said, "If it doesn't matter who I am," it really doesn't matter what Walker's name is.
How old is he? Who knows?
He was able to keep up, so he's not 62. The gigantic gorilla threw him up into the air and across the jungle. He screamed out as he flew through the air. The creature took the back of his left hand and knocked Sebastian's men, Waldo, Aaron, Madison, Magnus, Dallas, Vadimus, Jason, Ignacio, and Baldwin into some trees.
That is you took the whole book and put it into a still and just the liquid that came out into a little shot glass. It's
Yeah,
pure Ellis.
Back off, man. This is not for first timers. This is, you you put it into your dab rig and get a blowtorch out to be like, oh man, this hits hard. Or if you know how Disney movies used to start with a hand turning a page of an illuminated book.
Yeah.
That would be one of those wood carvings that's, the creature took the back of his left hand. But it doesn't stop. It then gives you a little it banged its fist against its chest. It took both its fists and banged him on the ground so hard the ground shook. The creature then pulled a very large tree up from its roots and threw it at Sebastian's men, Fabian, Pablo, Hamilton, Ulrich, and Wade. It knocked the men into the jungle with a large tree. So just when you think you've got the Ellises figured out, they start knocking men with the trees instead of forcing them into the trees. It's, again, you tip the cap. It's they still figure out ways to surprise us at all this point.
And it goes on, and this is where I laughed out loud. The giant gorilla then picked up Wallace and Mac and threw them up into the air. Disappointing. But next, the beast chased after Calder, Callahan Dalton, and Bailey. Callahan Dalton. Clint Eastwood, as played by Patrick Swayze? What?
Isn't there a? Didn't you have a bit about Hamilton? What is the
Hamilton,
prog
Joe,
rock group? Yes.
Hamilton, Joe, Frank, and Reynolds. Yes,
that's what this is. Callahan Dalton. And
Callahan Dalton. I checked the original text. It's
No
not
problem.
a misprint in the no.
Got
It
it.
is Callahan Dalton.
Perfect. He chased after them, knocked them into the forest with the back of his hand into the forest. We can read between the lines there. So
Yeah, I think we know.
they got forced into some trees.
Yes.
The two guys he threw up into the air, Wallace and Mac. I wonder if he did like the Bugs Bunny, like threw them up, then waiting for them to land, like checking his watch.
How many Wilhelm screams when we have to film this? By the way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're going to rename it the Callahan Dalton scream after we're done with it. And then then we cut to inside. Queen Rashinda is picking a very weird time to like flex on their wall. The beast is the reason why we have built such a magnificent stone, marble, and cement wall around our entire kingdom. Yeah, that marble didn't come cheap either. A lot of times you just use marble for like your throne or something. We built a wall out of it. That's like, I can hear Calhoun screaming, please.
Yes, and the guy who, when they were building the wall, which I assume took many years, and many guys were picked up by gorilla creatures and thrown against trees. The guy just doing like regular old cement work, and there's a guy over there with like marble looking over at him like, "Hey, you guys gonna take lunch today?" The marble guy's like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. You keep doing your cement work there.
Don't talk to us there.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm an artisan. No one has ever said that about you.
That's pretty magnificent, right? I laid a whole cement wall. Yeah, that's not the part they're going to describe as magnificent.
You know what's not going to happen after I finish my marble wall? There's not going to be a dipshit teenager who writes his initials in it. So maybe once you figure that out, we'll take your art seriously, huh? And then, so this is another innovation. So this is inside. All the women are inside with the children.
Yeah.
The gorilla pulled up another large tree from its roots, and a lot of tree-based destruction. Threw it over the huge wall that surrounded the kingdom. Everyone inside the kingdom saw the tree coming toward the kingdom and ran for cover. The tree landed right in the middle of the garden near the palace and knocked down some smaller trees. So trees being forced into trees is, like you said, the pure distillist form. 151 rum or Everclear, I guess, is what you got there. It's amazing.
Yeah, but right before that, while the gorilla was actively doing this, screaming and throwing things, and like the wall is like, will the wall hold? The marble guys are going, my part will. The cement guy's going, I don't know.
The cement guy is backing away slowly.
But while that's happening, Queen Rashinda said regrettably, Elizabeth, I understand how you feel. I love my husband too, but you must understand. You got corpse pieces coming and raining down. She scrapes a pancreas off her face. When my husband is not here, I am not only responsible for this king. And it goes on it goes on and on. I won't read it. It's amazing. But that's happening in the middle of this action set piece.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the Peter Jackson's King Kong, like 20-minute, just like absolute battle. And the other thing I liked was as Elizabeth whispered to herself sarcastically, I was wondering why there was a gigantic wall surrounding the kingdom, which is something, it's a beat. They call it like Anthony said that as well. So it was like a dumb little thing. They have a catapult and they shoot some boulders at the catapult, I think. And
gigantic bolters, hit the creature right in the chest. Fell backwards, but remained on his feet.
Wow. All right.
What?
Just he takes a licking and keeps on ticking,
Fell.
I guess.
What does fell mean?
He fell backwards, but remained. I don't know. Good catch.
Right.
He stumbled, I guess. But then at some point, this is just a great way to describe how the scene ends: is the giant beast got fed up with being hit. He yelled out, beat his chest with his fist, and then went back into his jungle. End of scene. Last we see of the gorilla.
Which leads me to a sonic challenge for you.
All right.
King Trishan asked sarcastically as he laughed.
Oh, my God.
Another request. What is it this time, my child? Asked sarcastically as he laughed. Another request. What is it this time, my child?
Okay. All right. What is it this time, my child?
Okay, thank you.
That's like, these sonic challenges have gotten to be like
dripping with sarcasm.
Rubbing your head and patting your stomach.
Everyone was escorted to the resting chambers to rest.
Good. I'm glad.
Every human alive.
Okay, get them, lay them down there. We have like 3 couches, so you're going to have to take turns resting. It's really not going to be very restful or relaxing.
God, we underbuilt on resting chambers because everyone has to rest. Cement guy, make us another resting chamber.
And then, once this has already happened, the Sharkwheel, who we haven't heard a lot in a long time, is, we made fun of him because he was getting friend zoned, but he sees his opportunity. He plays the Game of Thrones masterfully. He asks the king for Aswenta's hand in marriage, and he gives the blessing. And so he is now in line to be king, which, didn't see coming. But, props to him.
Yeah, the Sharkwheel thing is amazing. She became very emotional. She had tears in her eyes. She said, yes, Sharkwheel, you are my dearest friend, and I will always love you. Yes, I will marry you.
Little nice twist there. We know this is a marriage of convenience, man.
So that's how it's going to be. Okay.
And then, so this is right after the request, the sarcastic laughing request. She says, it takes many moons to prepare for a wedding. Father, I want the visitors to see me become a bride. We could always have the formal ceremony later. Let's have a small ceremony so that Billy, Samira, and the others can witness my marriage before they return to their own land. So I was just imagining Babatunde being like, wait, we're doing what now? No. We just survived a guerrilla attack in this place you dragged me to. I'm going the hell back to Lagos, where I lived comfortably. I've got money to spare buying the little pianos that you wear around your neck. Get me the hell out of here.
Daddy, I want to go to their wedding. I'm going to laugh sarcastically at you, I'm afraid, at this request, because that's insane.
And I don't know if it happened to you, but the people who say we're doing a small ceremony now and then we're doing one later, then the big one never happens. Exactly. You got to go to the first one. Yeah. Once you're married, it's been 8 months. You're not gearing up to have an actual wedding there. So abandon this charade.
Yes. That's it. They go back to the chamber, another chamber.
Yeah.
Gowns. So I assume it's a gown chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And they paw through all the diamonds, rubies, and beautiful gowns. This is amazing. Do we get to wear this stuff? Chapter end.
End of chapter. Run it into a ditch and move on.
Yes.
This is where we traditionally would do real or fanfic, but obviously there's no more fanfic because we've read the book. But we can update people on your stats.
Oh, no. Okay.
Lucas, the keeper of the tome. Lucas is, has his quill, I imagine, and his long scroll. And, a beacon is lit. And he's like, only 2 of 5 beacons were lit. That must mean that Mike whizzed it down his leg again.
He wears a giant purple robe, the hood that hangs halfway down his back.
Yes.
And he scribes my failures. All right, go ahead.
He says, I could say without sarcasm that this has been another exciting round of real or fanfic. The most notable thing about this season is that in the initial episode, Connor gave 6 entries instead of the usual 5. He hasn't done anything like that since, appropriately, the bonus episodes of Antigua. And that was a mistake. So that's why that happened. Mike's performance was, unfortunately, pretty poor. He scored 7 out of 16 correct answers for an average of 43.75%. His overall average has now dropped below 60. to 59.78%. Ever since his record-breaking performance in Edison's Conquest of Mars, Mike's results have been middling. His words, not mine. However, I am confident that he can turn things around in the next book.
Well, that's kind of him to say, but he doesn't. That's probably not going to be true, but whatever.
He's like he's the sabermetrician. He's the one that's analyzed these stats, so he knows when you're due for a turnaround.
Can we do an entire book of you doing real or fanfic?
I'd be happy to, yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean,
get some stats going.
Yeah, I'll just have to. People have to.
We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off air. All right.
Yeah. All right. So, chapter 14 is the two ceremonies. There was a great celebration held for everyone to enjoy. They celebrated the princess engagement and the defeat of the gorilla beast. Which
defeat? Yeah. I mean, didn't he get sick of being hit in the chest?
He got fed up. Yeah.
He got fed up.
Yeah. Take the W's where you can. Yeah. But like, I've been to a wedding where like the night before it was someone's birthday, and they like made enough big deal about it that like I remember the bride to be like brought out a cake for her birthday. It's like no one was happy about that, you know. The bride here, Swenta, is not going to be happy that they're tacking on a gorilla defeating ceremony to the engagement party. Like, you got to let them have their own night.
Because then they had to like go to the guy who like does the books of like he did the banishment ceremony. Like, do we have a gorilla defeating ceremony? Like,
well, is it we have a gorilla defeating, but not a giant gorilla defeating ceremony?
I'm just looking through here. Yeah, I could modify the giant dinosaur defeating. I don't know. Do you really want this? Because I was kind of in the middle of my steak.
Yeah, the staff for that ceremony is in the shop, and like I can call in a part for it, but like, I mean, brother, and on a holiday weekend, a princess ceremony. Yeah.
That's some.
You can tell I just had a dishwasher replaced based on the.
Yes. Well, oh boy, whew. Yeah. I like the shaking the head and just looking around. Like, when do you think we could get the windows in? Like,
Or like,
people don't ask this question. This is like an unusual.
You were unexpected that I was going to do this. You didn't. Or like looking at the gorilla ceremony, being like, "Oh man, the last guy who did a gorilla ceremony really whizzed that one." Man, like, what was he thinking? Who did this?
Who could you tell me? Like, look,
I don't want to. King. It was before I was king. I don't know. Well, man,
I don't want to crap on anyone professionally. That exact thing happened to me when we had I've told you about my shocking furnace had to be rebuilt, and the guy's like, "Hey, I just want to. I'll take some pictures, but I just want to show you these things." And he's showing me the voltage, and using words like. And so the consumables all have to be replaced. Like,
sure, yeah. I would hope so. Yeah, I mean.
But then he shows me like this oil on the main drive blower, and he's like, "I don't know who did this, but this is like," it's like, and I had to do. I don't know. We bought the house.
Was he hoping you'd admit to doing it or something?
I don't know what he was going for. Like who? And then he's looking at the stickers. They put them on the ducts. Of like the people who worked on it previously. Like
certificate. Yeah.
Oh, quadruple A. Sure. That's the kind of shit they do.
I'd recognize your foul stench anywhere.
Yes.
Quadruple A ductwork.
Anyway, I just want to point out we're in chapter 14. Second person comes up again. As soon as the doors to the palace were opened and the group walked outside, you could see that the festivities had already begun.
Wow.
So once again, I am sucked into the book. Like, I'm there.
Yeah.
Me.
When a character enters a VR universe and then... Wow, the festivities have already begun.
I can see that the festivities...
There's an engagement ceremony and a giant gorilla defeating ceremony. Yes. And so this is kind of rough, and might be rough for you, I think, because this is essentially a wedding they're doing here, and there's about to be some fisticuffs. So I hope this wasn't hard for you to read, having been assaulted at a wedding and then removed from the premises. But
this Anthony, is one of my favorite things ever. I cannot believe this.
Anthony is like, "Hey, how were you treated by the royal family, son? Did they threaten or mistreat you in any way?" And it's like, Billy is like, "Well, the king and queen are both okay. they had made us fight. They threw us in a dungeon. They sent me into a forest where I was attacked by skeletons, and I probably should have led with all of that. But so Anthony gets really upset at Nador because he said Nador wanted to kill us a bunch of times.
But it's even more like where they decide to do these dialogues. I don't understand. The only one who really gave us trouble was Nador. He's been a royal pain. He has, which I assume is a movie starring, I don't know.
Yeah.
He
Royal P-A-Y-N-E.
Yes. He has threatened us on more than one occasion, even tried to have the king end our lives. I like that he picks up the king's language there. Anthony asked, who? Who's that now? Billy said, Nadur, Dad. Nadur is the king's head warrior, remember? Oh, yeah, I remember Nadur now. Did he hurt you? Well, all right. Billy responded, all right, guys, 3 of you head back to the celebration. All right, the boys responded as they headed back to the celebration.
Perfect.
So that's the setup to one of my favorite sequences of all times.
Yeah, so he gets furious. He's furious. Yeah, I think he was doing like he was, Nadur, Dad. Nadur is the king's head warrior. Anthony was hammered the time they brought up Nadur. He has no memory of this. Oh, yeah. Nadur, yeah. What do you remember about Nadur, Dad? Oh, I mean, jerk. He's a royal pain. Yeah, I just said that, Dad. Anyway, but so he is furious that someone had threatened his sons. He walked over to the royal courtyard and saw Nadur, the head warrior, practicing with a sword. And he says, do you care to challenge me? Nadur said sarcastically, but of course, let's go. So he's accepting the offer. It's not sarcastic. And then the 2 men began to sword fight. Both men were equally as good a sword fighter as the other. And that is what I take as an indictment of the warrior culture here. The head warrior is as good a sword fighter as some British chump who
owns a mansion and has his kids running around in it.
Yeah. And
I thought that was I put that as a dumb sentence of the week. Both men were equally as good a sword fighter as the other. There's got to be a better way to say that.
Is there a single word that doesn't that works there?
He did bring his sword from the wall, and I noted that sword retrieval from walls is huge in this book. Many people walk over to walls and choose swords that are hanging on the wall. So everywhere you go, I don't know whether the giant gorilla wall is littered with swords. I don't know, but there are swords on many walls.
I feel like a post-credit sequence for the movie would be the character we've never seen before walks into a room and there's swords all over the floor, and he just sort of like begins picking them up and putting them back on the wall, and that's that's the final 20 seconds of the movie.
Wide shot, camera pulls out. Yeah.
Well, we've talked about swords for the past 2 minutes, and that's good because he says, I heard from my sons about the way you treated them. No one treats my boys that way. Let's settle this once and for all. Anthony threw his sword down to the ground. Nadur did the same with his sword. The 2 men began fight with their fists. So I guess he realized that the even match, they shouldn't even use swords. They should just start pummeling each other. And then this is good. It buries the lead, as they tend to do. Several warriors who were walking by rushed over and broke up the fight. Anthony pushed the guards away from him. He walked away angrily. When Elizabeth saw her battered husband's face, she became frightened. So Nadur got his licks in. He's got black eyes and busted lips, and he's bleeding from his nose.
Battered. That's what my note is like, oh my, like enough to go, whoa.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Yeah, somebody get the number of the truck that hit me. Oh,
yeah, you should see the other guy.
So yeah, a full battering is pretty impressive.
Because I was thinking of when the other guards, pull them apart. Junior high fight, right? You go after the guy because you see like there's a teacher down the hall.
Right.
And so you're like, you don't ever say that to me. And then you start doing the flailing it, and you kind of hit in the back of his neck kind of lightly. And then all of a sudden, hey, whoa, guys. Then they pull him apart like no one got any punches in. But this one, no, he's got like a couple teeth missing. He's bleeding profusely from the nose.
You can't hear out of his right ear.
Yeah. Busted tympanic membrane.
We were equally matched sword fighters. He is a much better fist fighter than me. That's That was a bad decision.
Oh, that guy, he punches hard. Whew. Oh.
The wedding ceremony, I had a bad feeling about flying dinosaurs, but it does not get interrupted. It did, however, specify that Princess Aswenta and Sharquille read special wedding vows they had written to each other, and very fortunately, they spared us those. I'm guessing they were like ones where they like referred to each other as their partner in crime and stuff, like just like really gross, cringy stuff.
Yes.
But then we get I think the final appearance of Isabella.
Oh, this is incredible.
Yeah.
It's Anthony.
The next morning.
Yeah, Anthony decides to take a walk one last time to enjoy the beauty. So it's day after wedding, right?
Oh, yeah.
Day after beating, however you want to.
I'm sure he had a few to take the, I'm going to drink to feel the pain. I'll worry about this tomorrow morning.
So he walks around the grounds. He walks around the gardens. I imagine he walked through the destroyed petting zoo or petty zoo, however you want to, whatever you want to say. But then here's where we get, he sees this thing, and Isabella was fully dressed. Oh, whew, okay, that's good. In a white linen gown.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't care that her dress was getting wet. All right, settle down here with this stuff. Anthony watching like the next morning. What is this? Bridesmaids or something?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Honey.
Larry's thinking about like a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue from the 1989 that had Stacey Williams in it or something. Oh yeah.
So yeah, she just. Isabella closed her eyes and lifted her head as warm water fell across her face, and he's just sitting there watching that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I assume it's probably monovision because one eye is fully swollen shut.
Yeah, and so he's like, I imagine she's doing the the sort of beckon here type of thing, and he's looking around like me, but
she's doing the. I'm wet.
But then suddenly, just as quickly as she had appeared, she disappeared.
Yes.
We'll get ahead of it. That is the last we'll be hearing of Isabella, the seemingly major antagonist in the book.
Who the last we saw her previous to this was exploding balls of fire in front of, was like powerful. Galloping out of the kingdom and going like, pow, pow, pow. This time she's just standing by a waterfall going, oh, I guess you can see through this linen dress that I'm wearing. And that's it. Yeah. Oh, my God, that's good.
Denise was like, Larry, this is getting pretty pervy. I don't want you writing about Isabella anymore. Fine. She disappeared forever and died on the way back to her home planet.
Do we need to wrap up Isabella at all? No, I finished. The book is done, Larry. It's not locked, though, is it? It's locked.
Yeah, it is printed. God. We cannot change it. We made a lot of changes to Antigua after everyone made fun of us. We took out all the exclamation marks, but we're not doing that again.
Because I was at this thing where it was a Bud Light thing, and there was these T-shirt girls there, and I had some new ideas. No, we can't.
Absolutely
have those
not.
Now. It's too late.
Larry puts the tight Bud Light T-shirt that he had brought home behind her back. The happy anniversary card on it is. She'll find it under the bed 6 months later when he's cleaning out his room. Rebecca is instructed here. She's holding her pet chimpanzee Patua up in her arms. She said, Rebecca, Aswenta says this. Rebecca, Patua has grown to love you very much. I want you to have her to remember us. Take good care of Patua. Treat her well. Thank you, Princess Aswenta. I promise I would take good care of Patua. I won't let anything happen to him.
I didn't think I missed that.
So who knows? It seems like that'd be a very easy thing to identify on a chimp. It's probably pretty out there. But I guess there's confusion here.
Patua. I know we settled on that, but look at the spelling. Pautuh.
Okay.
Pauta.
Pautu.
There's a lot. I just think there's a lot of options. I don't know.
Sure, right. Well, it's a movable feast. I was curious though. This seemed like something that is just like Babatunde being like, we're staying for a wedding now. If your boys you'd been on a vacation and they were like, we found a turtle. We're in the Redwood National Park. We found a turtle. Can we bring him home? Put that down immediately and get in the car. They are talking about bringing a chimpanzee, across Sudan, Central African Republic to get back to Nigeria. Like, get the hell out of town. And I wasn't the only one who was wondering sort of how this would work. And it's been fairly silent on the dark web during this journey we've been taking.
That's true.
We haven't delved into that for the past 3 episodes because there's, I don't know, I think they went pretty long. A lot of stuff to talk about. But lest you fear that, reenactors are not doing this type of thing just because we haven't used it.
I did fear that. I feared it a lot.
You kept you up at night?
Yeah.
There are.
Oh,
and
okay, good.
The issue of Patua, how this would be, let alone the pronunciation, is something that they have delved into a great deal. And there's schisms of how would they get it, out of the Nile? They're taking it up that waterfall that the snake chased the guy off, all of that stuff. But one major thing was what are they going to do when they get this to customs? So that's the one that I wanted to share with everybody now is you've got this chimp, what's going to happen?
Welcome to the UK. Anything to declare?
Oh, yeah, I brought some duty-free gin.
Move along, sir. Welcome to the UK. Anything to declare?
Just some souvenirs.
All right, move it along then. Oh, welcome to the UK. Anything to declare?
Nope.
All right, move it along then. Welcome to the UK. Anything to declare?
A live chimpanzee. It hasn't had any shots and its country of origin doesn't exist.
Absolutely not.
Makes sense. Taxi! So that's what happened. Not their most elaborate, not their most creative one, but I think that's probably a fairly accurate representation of what would happen with the chimp at British Customs.
Yeah, I'm glad we've dived back into the dark web. I was worried about that. Okay, so the right in the middle of this, so they're leaving or whatever, and then Sharquille comes up. The friend zone Sharquille, who, the dearest friend of his new wife. And, I married my best friend. I'm always like...
Probably part of their vows, yeah.
He says to her, he took her hand and said softly. So I'm going to say it softly.
Okay.
Come on, you've had a long day. We better get you back to the palace to rest.
Wow, Sharquille has taken a turn. He's
wow, rest that
horny heel turn as soon as he got the ring on it.
Oh yes, resting, that famous thing that newlyweds do.
Wow, I hope they got a soundproof chamber for this one. Sharquille is letting his hair down.
Yeah, the marble guy is like, I can't do soundproof. It's pretty echoey. The cement guy's like, excuse me.
Yeah, your marble headboard will hold up, however. That is no way you're going to shatter that thing. So everyone leaves. They finally leave the land of the Mopek. All seems to be going well. Suddenly, several of the Mopeks expelled rebels who had been banished from the kingdom for different crimes surrounded them. The rebels, different crimes, is not rebelling the only crime you'd be available for? There was some jaywalking rebels. It doesn't matter. We don't really hear a lot about the rebels because Prince Rayshawn has thrown in with the rebels, along with Balthazar Cadmon, the lion he took with them, and the advisor, the old guy, Johansson.
Yeah. Here's what I'm taking issue with. I don't think they explicitly say that they joined with other rebels. It says expelled rebels who had been banished.
It doesn't say that now. It does clarify.
Okay, it does clarify. Because at first I was like, okay, so now they're just rebels because they went through the banishment ceremony? Because it says the group included King Trishan's son Rayshawn, Balthazar, and Cadmon, the lion, and that's it.
Well,
so it's like, okay, they're pretty new rebels. So they don't explicitly say that there's other rebels with them, but you say they do later?
They do. It comes up.
Okay, all right, okay.
What are you rebelling against? Well, nothing really. I was just banished. The prince is like, I was disrespected and treated like a common servant. That's right. Rayshawn was treated like nothing more than a common servant. Then my sister, the princess, has no idea how to run the kingdom. I was treated like a common servant, and now all of you shall receive that same treatment, which is not really like a real threat, Like,
no. Also, that was all yelled, by the way. I think that was the longest stretch of yelling. I don't know. Someone else could check that.
I left out 5/6 of that yelling.
Oh, it's incredible. And then in the middle of that, it says Petua had bitten one of the warriors hard on his hand and ran up a tree. I was like, had bitten?
Yeah.
Wait, when? So sometime in the past, Petua had bitten.
The biting had no action. It did not cause, that didn't cause the distraction they needed to escape. It just, they're herding them at spear point into a camp at this point in time.
Yes. Rebels bring them, and then Petua had bitten one of the warriors.
It just, to set up further action, Petua needed to be not in prison, so he's in a tree, or she, whichever one.
Yes, but it was just added on to a yelling paragraph. It made me laugh. Like, wait, what? When did that happen? Why aren't we talking about that? Like, no, I forgot. He had bitten one and ran. Yeah, I forgot to mention that in the middle of the action.
So they're being held. The rebels want to kill them. They want to treat them like common servants. Who knows? In the middle of that, they have another of the patented Rebecca Thomas arguments. No, you shut up, etc.
Rebecca, you are a wild animal. It's probably one of your jungle relatives.
Shut up, Thomas! You're my relative, you idiot! Oh, wait, no, sorry. Shut up, Thomas. You are my relative, you whispered. Oh, Thomas whispered.
Yeah.
You probably didn't hear anything. You need to clean the wax out of your ears.
Shut up, Thomas.
You shut up, Rebecca.
No, you shut up.
Will both of you shut up, Billy whispered. You want the warriors to come in here with their spears? Goodness. Whispering goodness is quite the... But then they hear a strange noise. Suddenly, the chimpanzee Petua crawled from outside the tent. Then Petua says, they say, good boy, get the ropes. And Petua undoes their ropes like it's, every which way but loose orangutan or something.
I would just like to point out that in this section, they do not say that they were tied up and brought into a tent or what time it is or anything. So it says, tie them up. And then they're tied up. And then they go, I hear something outside the tent.
Oh, nice.
It's like, what tent? You're not in a tent. There was no mention of a tent. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're in a tent.
Well, the rebels are living, Prince Rayshawn had been like, this is going to suck. Oh, wait, they got tents? All right, they got rope. They're living pretty well out here.
And he's like, you will never get out of here alive. We're going to kill you. And I just thought, well, then just do it. They have spears.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. You're outside the realm of the law or anything. You can do whatever you want.
You were banished. Just kill them right now. Why are you tying them up and putting them in a tent? Seriously, this is a terrible plan.
Then marry Petua. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So they escape, and they, it says again, as they flee, suddenly the warrior rebel Baltazar woke up. I don't think it said either that any of the guards had gone to sleep. But that's, I guess, how this was all allowed to happen, is that they all slept or took a nap or something.
Yeah, she peeks out. They're all around a fire. And they somehow, the ape unleashes them, and they go, and they're like, oh, we should sneak out the back of the tent, which is an innovation from the monkey Petua. But here's pure Ellis. Rayshawn led the warrior rebels out of the camp into the jungle to look for Anthony and the others. Prince Rayshawn and his men caught up to Anthony, Nadur, Benjamin, Babatunde, and the other men. All of the men started fighting. Elizabeth, Jabril, and the teen archaeologists heard the men fighting behind them at a distance.
I like that it's like Roadhouse. Someone breaks a glass and everyone just starts fighting. Like everyone drops whatever they're doing and just starts slugging each other. But then let's keep going with that. So they heard the men fighting behind them at a distance. Elizabeth whispered, "Oh my lord, oh my lord!" Suddenly, 3 flying dinosaurs headed straight toward them. The gigantic flying dinosaurs swooped down from the sky and attacked the group of men. Then this is where he starts walking on his hind legs.
Yes, like a man.
Fanfic.
Yes.
The gigantic flying monster attacked Anthony. He pecked so hard at Anthony that he fell over backwards. So a big vicious peck from a dinosaur, like a chicken taking a feed out of your hand.
Yeah, but here's what I thought about it. He pecked so hard at Anthony that he fell over backwards. Oh, well, the creature fell over. Get him. Anthony landed on his back. Ah, okay. So you meant the other
If
way
Anthony,
around.
yeah, he's the immovable object, meets the unstoppable force. But then, very surprising, Ray Sean gets carried off. Creature flew off with Prince Ray Sean hanging in the air. But then the flying creature that had landed and was now walking around on its two hind legs, which is a very funny way to describe it, multiple times, chased after Billy. The monster flew straight up in the air, then flew straight toward Billy. The creature hovered over Billy, so I guess he's like a hummingbird, and tried to lift him up with his claws. Billy fought him off. Then the flying dinosaur was able to grab a hold of Billy with his feet and lift Billy up into the air. Billy fought the creature and was able to break free.
Oh, good. Well, he's safe then.
The creature loosened his grip and Billy fell to the ground.
Wait, what?
The Mopek warriors threw their spears at the creature, but it was no use. The dinosaur scooped Billy up into his mouth. It flew up into the sky with Billy hanging out of its mouth. All the dinosaurs flew away. All the flying dinosaurs flew away. Sorry. Billy and Ray Sean were gone. And Nador is immediately like, they're gone. It's too late for them.
Yep.
No one else risked their lives. Let's get the hell out of here.
And then Anthony yelled,
I don't care if you are the head of the Mopek Warriors. We're not going anywhere without our son. As far as we're concerned, he is still alive and he needs our help.
Elizabeth yelled,
As long as there's breath in our body.
so it was like witness yelling. They were yelling
Yeah.
over the top of one another.
As long as they're
John, you put that down. You put that down.
Put that fucking gun down, John. It's over. It's over.
But they have to. I mean, Billy is in the dinosaur's mouth, I assume, like limp. He's been dropped already. He's been carried off by a dinosaur. I mean, he's dead. Like, you have to assume this dinosaur is dead. I mean, this man is dead. Like, there's nothing we can do. But I guess, they're holding out on that, wherever you go, I will find you type of thing. Like, and they're going to try to get him. And then, so here's the other rebels. I guess, yeah, you were right. No, there are other rebels, because he says he looked over at the Mopek rebels. Your leader and my son have been carried away by those gigantic flying creatures. We want our son back, and you all want your leader back. We have to stick together. If we stick together, we'll be able to bring them both back. We need each other. And I just put in a joke of being like, that guy showed up yesterday, and he was kind of a dick. And then that's exactly what the guys say. They had no intentions on having Anthony and Elizabeth find their son. The rebels weren't the type of men and women who would risk their lives for anyone. They just looked at each other with a non-caring attitude. They were rebels that had been banished from the kingdom of Mopek. They didn't care about anything or anybody. So they're like nihilists.
That was I wanted that as a challenge for everyone, not just a Sonic challenge, to do a non-caring look. They looked at each other with a non-caring attitude.
Okay.
I mean, my model is, I don't know, like Marlon Brando and the Wild Ones or something. Like, what are you rebelling against? What do you got?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. So looked at each other with a non-caring attitude.
I think I'm going like a sort of, third wall breaking, fourth wall breaking, like smirking, sort of, I don't know, like sleepy-eyed. Like, I think that's more the rebels.
I won't do it on camera, but the when you do the, have you ever had like a junior high kid flips you off, but he can't even manage to like, you just barely raising the, like, whatever, man.
Sure.
I don't care.
Yeah. When you say, no, I'm not going to, you're outside shoulder tapping of 7-Eleven, like trying to get him to buy you beer. I'm not going to do it. Like, did that kid just flip me off because I wouldn't buy him beer? Like, I'm going to see him on the way back out of the store. Like,
oh, that is so good. So they team up, though. Nadur, what about you and your men? Will you help us find our son? So this is where, like, I'm still not 100% that I know they mean there are other rebels around. They just have not made that clear.
well, they said they wanted to pick a new leader who wasn't as egotistical as Ray Sean was. They didn't care about Billy either. The Mopek rebels turned around and headed back to their camp.
Yeah, but it could have been the guys who were kicked out of the kingdom. They didn't say how many in number. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
They have a camp. I mean, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you know.
So the banishment ceremony, I guess that was 2 days ago, probably.
Yeah.
Because they had the wedding ceremony. But he ingratiated himself rather quickly. Anyway, so that sets up the final chapter.
Nadur yelled,
Oh, yeah.
No, we will not help you. Leave our land. My men and I are returning to the kingdom. All of you can make it back to the pyramid of the Mopex on your own. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, were I Nadir, I'd go like, face is starting to heal there, buddy. Looks like I clipped you a couple of times right under the eye there. Your nose is a little mashed up. Good luck getting out of here and finding the pyramid, you piece of crap who I beat up like a couple hours ago.
Yeah. I mean, sure, like, we're evenly matched if there's swords. I don't see any swords around here, though, do you? So I guess it's coming down to fists, and we all know how that went last time. So, yeah, he says, like, I'm not helping you. My warriors are not helping you. Take a hike. Like, cut your losses. Billy's gone. You got 2 other lame kids. You know, Babatunde, I mean, all your kids are still alive. I would be heading back if I were you. But chapter 15 starts with just at that moment, King Treshant and 50 Mopek warriors rode up on horses. And like, he essentially is like, Nadura's not going to help you. And then he winks at Anthony and Elizabeth, and they're like, can you not wink? Like, our son is like, his screams are still echoing in our ears. Like, I just need help. I don't need any, coyness here.
And he's winking at him like, we'll help you get your kid back. I did see his pancreas slide out and fall to the ground while he was being carried away, but we got you covered there, big shooter. Don't worry about it.
The reason we never go after there is because the dinosaurs, it is mating season, and so before they eat your boy, that's going to happen too. But here, two dumb sentences back to back here. Yes. Where are we going? Where is our son? King Treshant said with a worried expression on his face, he is on an island across the waters of the Mopek that is full of dinosaurs. Anthony asked with great concern, an island full of dinosaurs? King Treshant said, yes. What, did I stutter?
Instead of going like, what did I just say? Did you just see? You saw the dinosaurs land, walk on
full of them. It's full of those type of things? Yes. What, do you think there's 2? Like, dinosaurs live like giant pandas in the zoo? No. It is full of those dinosaurs.
Okay, let's work this out. We saw 3. So if we go to that island, will there be 4?
Well, you're going to quibble semantics about how full an island could be of dinosaurs?
Well, let's keep it going. 5?
Probably more than that,
Do you think there'll be 6?
It's swarming with them, so yeah.
All right, let's keep this going. 7?
Sir, your son is like, they're mating with them right now.
Holy shit, do you think there'll be 8?
I would be shocked if there was under 50 of them.
My God, so full. So you were right, it's full of dinosaurs.
Yes.
Wow.
For not picking up on my uncertainty, but I am pretty certain that it's
when I asked you again, you said yes, you really meant, okay, full of dinosaurs.
But he says, we must wait until daylight to try to cross the waters of the Mopek, which I guess is what they call their ocean. But there is no light there. We will not be able to see anything. So there is no light there all the time, or just now when it's not daylight?
Right.
I'm sort of just parsing that out. But, in theory, there's no light anywhere. We're underground. But
I guess there's never light there, huh?
Yeah. It's like, Mufasa is like, that one place the light does not touch. Like, that is the dinosaur island. It's full of the dinosaurs. You must never go there, Simba.
Yes. But they actually, it is the ocean shore. Elizabeth and Anthony were both terrified for their son, but they were willing to travel the entire world to rescue their son. The group traveled through the jungle to the ocean shore.
Yeah. Okay.
And the next morning, the group had to walk into the water and then swim to the 3 ships? What?
They've got shipbuilders.
On
3
their
ships,
ocean?
by the way.
Does the ocean have light? Or sun?
No, just the island.
The island is the only thing that does not have light?
Yeah, it's like, it traps the clouds, I guess, it like...
Okay.
Yeah, when I said there's no light, I meant it's kind of cloudy, bring a jacket, like...
Oh, okay.
Sorry if I meant you think it was going to be like this terrifying dark hellscape.
Like, a marine layer. You get the marine layer.
Is always there, and it doesn't burn off because the sun does not. It's complicated down here.
Yeah,
but I like that they've been building boats to be like, we must never go there, but let's build some boats just in case.
So they went to the 3 ships. Never mentioned before. Okay.
As they're walking out to the ships, to rescue his son, Anthony carried his daughter's pet chimpanzee on his back to the ship. The chimpanzee Patua held on to Anthony's neck as tightly as it could. The chimpanzee was terrified. And Anthony has to really be wondering how it got to this point.
That's like you're trying to rescue a drowning chimp, and he's terrified.
Yeah.
And you're just swimming. Your face is just shredded.
Can Patua please stay back on the shore? Can one of you warriors stay with him? And maybe I'll have an accident. I don't know. But, I don't want to bring this thing home with me.
What's her name is yelling from the ocean shore, you enjoy that gift now. You're having fun with it, I can see. No, please take him back. He's killing me.
Here's a patented Ellisism. The Mopec warriors divided themselves up into about 19 men in each ship. So
that was good.
That's real military precision there. And then, this is another very funny section. King Trishan told one of his warriors to escort Elizabeth and the girls to the galley so they could prepare food for everyone on the ship. So some just brutal sexism thrown into the climactic battle here.
Well, that comes up a little bit later too, as well.
And so they're on the ocean. That's been established. The waves got higher and higher. If anyone in the audience is a oceanologist or a physicist, would there be waves in an underwater ocean? Aren't they caused by the tides? By the moon, which reflects.
Who knows?
Right. Anyway. But then suddenly a gigantic ocean creature jumped up from underneath the water. The ocean creature was huge. It was 20 feet wide when its arms were stretched out. That's the only description we get of it for a while.
I had the ocean creature was huge.
Okay.
Oh my God. Gorilla huge?
A leviathan?
It was 20 feet wide. Well, that's not. That doesn't.
Yeah.
There are octopi that can. That's not a big deal.
What is Victor Wembanyama's arm span? Is probably 10 or 11 feet at this point. So yeah, middling.
20.
Especially in a land where everything is gigantic.
Yeah, okay.
But then it says, you get this, the gigantic creature wrapped its 8 long arms around the entire ship and rocked it back and forth violently. So it's an octopus. They didn't lead with that for whatever reason.
Yes. Gigantic ocean creature.
And it pulls one of the ships under with it. Some people jump off, but most of them die. But not the one that any of our main characters are on. Just the 19 or so Mopec warriors.
Yes. And then at that point, the gigantic creature decided to leave their ship and Benjamin's ship alone. The gigantic ocean predator instead went after the third ship that had the 19. Look, it's an omniscient third-person narrator. I gotta believe you if you said the creature decided to. It's just, we rarely zoom into the minds of the creatures. But I guess if it was I don't know. I only got 20 feet of arm span here. You know what? I'm going to decide to go over to this one.
Yeah, I did some mental calculations, risk reward.
Yeah, the beam on that one looks a little small. Yeah, I'll do that one. I have decided.
So it's sort of like a psychopath almost, like a killer who's you go tell people about me.
Yes. And then do you have, I'm assuming you have Nadur yelling?
Yes.
Okay.
So Elizabeth has been sent to the galley to, prepare food for everybody.
Yes.
Which, as a Mopec, you'd have to be like, your British food is terrible to us. It is unseasoned and bland, and we do not trust you with our cooking.
Why do you boil your vegetables so long? Why?
But he yelled, she's like, I'm going to be up here. It's my son, too. I want to find him. Nadur yelled, she should stay on board the ship. She is a mere woman. She will just get in our way and slow us down. He was being a male chauvinist. Little turn to the camera from Denise there, I think. Maybe personal experience dealing with some people like that.
Not racist.
But yeah, so I guess that's they have gotten to the ship, and this is their going aboard scene, which here we go. Time to shine, people. They're on the island. Elizabeth points to the bushes that led to the jungle area. You can do the honors.
I just wrote this down. Connor, you finally got what you came for. Belly up to this feast. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Once on the island, and there's no punctuation, but I'll read it anyway. Once on the island, Elizabeth screamed. Anthony ran over to her and asked, "What?"
Well, the island's swarming with dinosaurs, so...
Elizabeth pointed into the bushes that led into the jungle area of the Dark Island. Here we go. Take a big sip of water.
Yeah, right.
5 gigantic komodo-looking dragons came out of the bushes and advanced toward them. The dragons were 15 feet long and weighed over 700 pounds. They were dark green in color and had scales all over their bodies like fish. They had white horns coming out of the back of their necks, their backs, and from the top of their heads. They had long tails that they could swing and knock a man off of his feet. They had long tongues that slithered in and out of their mouths. So, your wish has been granted.
It's incredible. The only instance of the phrase komodo-looking dragons is in this book when you search for it. Although there is another book that appears to be, this must be by someone else, a book called Cooley and Cooley, Apprentice by Reedy Breedy. He didn't have to. Coolian knew the look, which thankfully Shroudman didn't. He was too busy fending off ticket-clamoring ghosts desperate to get their hands on freaked-up prizes to notice. It was like some sort of X-rated tombola with winners taking home anything from Komodo-looking dragons to gigantic venomous snakes. We'll have to look into that later, but it's a 2017 book.
Wow, that sounds crazy.
But, yeah, so I guess they're not Komodo-looking dragons. It's not a gigantic gorilla-looking ape type of thing. But so Anthony yelled with concern for his wife. He's not being a male chauvinist. Elizabeth, get behind us. She backed up behind the man for her protection. So, yeah, maybe settle down, Elizabeth. One of the dragons grabbed one of the Mopek warriors and carried him away. The man screamed as he was being carried away. These Mopek warriors are just cannon fodder. Another Komodo-looking dragon swung their powerful tail and knocked 4 of the Mopek warriors into the jungle. So they deliver on what they promised. They had long tails. They could swing and knock a man off his feet, and they put him to use. Mm-hmm. All 4 of the men landed right into some trees and fell to the ground. So we have Komodo dragons knocking guys into trees. It's one of my, it's like it was written for me. The other 2 Komodo-looking dragons got tired of being poked with spears, so they wandered back into the jungle. There were no more creatures or dinosaurs on the beach area. So the remaining group of rescuers decided to walk into the jungle in search of the missing teen.
There's a couple things that I love about that.
Okay.
But once again, the Komodo, they got tired of being poked with spears.
Oh, man.
You know, those things, my horns are kind of sensitive, the ones that come out of my neck, back, and tail. And it's just getting annoying. I am tired of this. I'm going to go back into it.
Yeah. Deciding to move the barbecue inside when the mosquitoes come out. Like, anyone else getting fed up with this? Yeah, let's go inside. We got the AC in there.
You know, the sun as it gets lower, it's just hot. Let's go. Yeah.
Someone else did point out that there was 5 gigantic Komodo-looking dragons. One grabbed a guy and carried him away. Another one swung their tail and knocked men into some trees. The other 2 Komodo-looking dragons got tired of being poked. The 5th one, I guess, went unaccounted for.
But a lesson to all the aspiring writers out there, this is how you end a chapter, okay? Mm-hmm. Right in the center of the opening was a huge dinosaur that looked something like a gigantic rhinoceros. Anthony, look at that thing. Don't punctuate. Elizabeth whispered in total astonishment. Don't worry, honey. That thing only eats plants. It's herbivorous. I think. Chapter end. That's how you end a chapter.
Yeah, that's the patented, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, Larry typing with one hand as he out the door, lulled by the music of steel drum covers of like Bob Marley or something. Perfect. And not to get ahead of it, the herbivorous rhinoceros-looking dinosaur is never mentioned again, and it does not start the next chapter or anything like that.
Herbivorous?
Or who knows? Yeah,
I don't know. Okay, we'll get notes. All right.
Also, right before that, there was a larger than average wild boar. A lot larger than that.
That was in real or fanfic.
Yes, it weighed over 1,200 pounds, but they fought it off.
Yes.
And so I thought that was the last chapter. This is the last chapter, chapter 16. So, just if you're sitting around, I don't know, pour yourself a little nice, open the good stuff, pour a glass. Don't do it if you're driving to somewhere or something like that. But just, let the kid take the wheel, let little Billy take the wheel, Heather. But enjoy this last moment. Savor it, if you will. Because this is probably the last we're going to read of Larry and Denise.
Yeah, probably will.
Anthony whispered to the other men, "We need to proceed in the same direction that those flying creatures are headed. They may be flying right to where Billy is." It's the first mention of the flying creatures. 3 flying creatures that the group was following, first mention, landed on the mountaintop on the island. So they're very clearly thinking of a child's drawing of a mountaintop that has a point you can land on. I think that's seen later as well. And then one of the flying dinosaurs stayed behind as though it was guarding the caves. By the way, there are also caves on top of the mountain. So one of the creatures is guarding them, and the other ones are, flying into the jungle or something.
The flying dinosaur flew into the air, flying dinosaur, and circled the mountain to see what was going on. So once again, we're in the minds of the...
What is going on down there? This is crazy.
This is ridiculous. There's people everywhere. Anthony yelled, "Move it, Billy! That flying monster is coming straight toward us." Prince Rayshawn grabbed Anthony and punched him in the face.
His already brutalized face? What did they call it? His battered face.
Battered face.
Oh, man.
He then grabbed Anthony and held him as a shield.
What are you using a shield for here? Dinosaur pecking?
He grabbed Anthony. He punched him in the face. He then grabbed Anthony and used him as a shield.
I'd like to just to call attention to how Anthony got him, because it's very close to the flying dinosaurs. Anthony climbed up to the first cave. Anthony snuck into the cave and looked around. There was no one in there. So a cave is like a studio apartment. You can be like, yep, no one in there. Not like the ones you talked about earlier that have species no one's ever seen before in them. He whispered to the others to continue climbing. They went into the second cave, and there they were. Billy and Rishon were in the cave, hiding deep inside. Why did you make us go into the first cave? Why did you waste 2 sentences to climb into the first cave and have no one be there? You deserve to be punched in the face in another paragraph.
You believe to be deserve to be grabbed and punched in the face.
And King Treshan is not happy about this. He says he couldn't believe his son was being such a coward. It was not the Mopek way. I mean, you couldn't believe this? You exiled him 48 hours ago for attempting to murder you.
Yes.
So, your expectation should be pretty low for this boy of yours.
But, I mean, this is exciting stuff. Okay, so he's got him, human shield, all of that. Couldn't believe he was being such a coward, not the Mopek way. Rashawn and Anthony began to fight with each other. Okay, now we don't know. We do know that, obviously Anthony is really, probably his shoulder is out of joint, after their fight.
It could be.
However, imagine how much Rashawn would have gotten his ass kicked by, because Anthony was able to knock Rashawn off the mountain. As he fell toward the ground, the flying dinosaur flew over to him and caught him in his mouth. He flew off into the jungle with Prince Rashawn hanging out of his mouth. They never saw Prince Rashawn again. So that little bit of tension, it's done. Rashawn,
using him as a shield, you mean?
Yes, never seen again. It's just over.
And that is again an example of what they think a mountain is like. Of being like, to be able to knock someone off a mountain is a very funny. They really were on some sort of peak or like a bridge that goes off over to the ledge of the mountain.
Can you imagine how much contempt, Nadur had for Rashawn?
Oh, my God. He didn't even make it out of the first round.
I beat the living tar out of that dude, and he immediately knocks you off the mountain?
Yeah, you got
suck.
one punch in? Yeah, how
You're a
realistic
Mopek
must
warrior.
That punch have been?
This is not the Mopek way.
The rebels were right to not go after you and be dismissive of your leading ability.
Yes.
And so this was also in fanfic, but it's a
Oh man, this
the
is
context
so good.
of it is and some of it was left out. Thank you to whoever left out this part of it. But King Trishand was deeply hurt. He put his head down in despair. Elizabeth whispered, "I'm sorry, King." King Trishand said with a sad expression on his face, "Thank you." It was obvious he was heartbroken over the loss of his son. The group came back to the clearing in the middle of the jungle. There were about 18 gigantic ostriches standing around in the clearing. They were twice the size of a regular ostrich and had 5 times the strength. Anthony whispered, "We're going to ride to the beach area on those things. Come on." So they all climb onto the 18 ostriches, which have 5 times the strength of normal ostriches. The gigantic animals traveled through the jungle at over 40 miles an hour.
So the king is like draped across a giant ostrich, like, oh, my son. He betrayed me. And it's like 40 miles an hour.
Going insanely fast, yeah. Branches are whipping at you. One of them is ran into a tree, and the limbs went on either side like a cartoon.
Oh my God!
But yeah, so the group climbed off of their ostriches and let them run back into the jungle. The ostriches were happy to have the humans off their backs. They turned around and ran right back into the jungle. So the ostriches burned bright, man. I was so happy we got them, but they didn't overstay their welcome.
Were they happy?
I mean, they all seem to be able to ride them without a saddle or anything. I don't really know why their 5 times the strength ever came into anything.
I guess maybe it's like dolphins. They always say they're going along with a ship or whatever. Like, look at them; they're just playing. They're so happy. Like, well, do you know really? We don't really know what that behavior is. They're happy.
Right? Yeah, they're waiting for one of the kids to fall off the back of the boat so they can devour him. In the middle of all this, they're swimming for the boat. Elizabeth didn't want to lose her son to one of the flying creatures again. Elizabeth and Billy did as they were told. A gigantic flying creature flew down and grabbed one of the Mopek warriors, and they were never heard from again. That's just a little aside they toss in that has no bearing on anything. The flying creatures do not impact the rest of their journey.
And then the Mopek warriors from both ships pulled up the anchors that were keeping the ship steady. They pulled up the sails and took off back to the land of Mopek. The adventure was over. They finally made it back to safety on the shore and climbed out of the ships. Oh, great. Okay.
Phew.
On their way back to the pyramids, everyone heard the giant gorilla. Okay, so the adventure's not over. All right. Why did you say the adventure was over? Damn it.
Yeah, that's like in a Joss Whedon thing. Like, what else could? Don't say it. Possibly go wrong. The thunder opens up. God, he said it. So they hear the gorilla again.
A look of fear came on everyone's face.
Oh no, it's. I marked that. Read it again.
A look of fear came on everyone's face.
Got it, just to make sure. So
even the warriors were terrified. The group heard noises in the jungle as though something was surrounding them. So a singular thing was surrounding them. So it has to be pretty long.
The blob, maybe.
Maybe that giant snake. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Sure. He said, Nadura said with fear in his eyes, no, not the giant gorilla. It's a man-eating creature. Does the gorilla not eat people? What is the gorilla's goal? Just to harm people? Like, you're parsing this weirdly. But then it says, when Nadura said man-eating dinosaur, Anthony knew immediately that the dinosaur wasn't just circling them, it was hunting them like prey. He didn't say man-eating dinosaur. He said man-eating
Exactly. He didn't say anything about a dinosaur.
But speaking of humor, it was hunting them like prey. The dinosaur wanted to hunt them, destroy them, and then eat them. And not necessarily in that order. Settle the hell down, Larry. That is inappropriate at this juncture.
So, do you think she gave him like one sentence and was like, and he had just seen like, I came here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum or something. Like,
oh man, I can write action hero quips. That's easy. Especially because he throws in the and then eat them, but not necessarily in that order. Like, you just specified an order, and these things can only happen in one order.
It doesn't make any sense in any other order.
I mean, if he eats something, he could then go, like, destroy the dinosaur toilet. Like, that could be something that happens. Like, oh, man, Nadura did not sit right. I don't know. One person wrote in and said it reminded him of Andy Weir humor, and I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's true. I also wonder, is it just like, like mangled football coach humor too? Like, you boys I'm gonna kick your ass, and then I'm gonna rub your face in the dirt, and then and by the end of this, you'll be begging for mercy. And not necessarily in that order. Like, Coach, I don't know what that, like,
yeah.
What does
Oh, you think my speech is funny, huh? You're snickering? Well, because Joe Hansen just snickered here, everyone's going to run 50 laps. So you can thank him for that when you pass him.
Thanks, 62-year-old.
So the creature was huge, a gigantic carnivorous dinosaur, nicely specified. It was the most terrifying moment of their lives. The chimpanzee Patua, who was holding onto Rebecca's neck at the time, screamed out in fear, which, what is his name? Richard? Not Richard, the other guy.
Anthony?
The dad. Anthony is probably, at this point being like, we might not survive here. But if the monkey screams in fear, he is not getting on the plane with us for damn sure. That is a horrible noise.
And then... I have a Sonic challenge for you. Oh, okay. No, wait. That comes up later. Hang on. This happens right now. I forgot about this. The dinosaur reached over and was going to grab Rebecca in its mighty jaws when suddenly a second dinosaur jumped out of the jungle and landed right on top of the first man-eating dinosaur. Is there any movie that you can think of that might have inspired this? Giant gorillas, walls, dinosaurs, fights between them, guys with spears. Anything come to mind? No? Is this fresh out of the mind of Larry and Denise?
I think so. I think he just, he's the king of this, is what I'm saying. King Kong's got nothing on him, as Denzel Washington said.
That was amazing. Just absolutely recreating that moment.
And, for something that was like, he probably saw like the Peter Jackson version and drifted in and out of it and then, woke up and thought he had an original idea.
Hey, I see from our Netflix queue you did watch, you watched it until like 4:30 a.m.?
Oh, man, you could see the stuff I've watched on there.
Where do you look? Where do you look at that?
Yeah, right.
Is there a way to erase that,
And then after that, you took a break for King Kong to watch Kathy Ireland's workout video. Larry,
I didn't. I don't remember
you
any of that.
You must have watched that one. You're the one that does aerobics. I did aerobics 25 years ago, Larry.
Scooping the Corona bottles up and they're clinking together. No, you're the one who's doing it.
Mulholland Drive, just one particular scene on repeat. Larry!
How could you see that? I didn't know that existed.
But yeah, so they didn't want to share. The ground shook from the mighty power. What happens? They just they get away. Like, how do the dinosaurs? What do they do? He just says, he said, "You guys get out of here. We'll distract them."
Yes. Anthony turned to the others. Yes, he gets them out of there.
The dinosaurs are attacking each other, and he says, "Don't look back, keep moving." So the dinosaurs are distracted, and then they're able to escape.
Here's the one that I'm sorry. I wanted this to be done by also another second person, but I wanted this to be done by a world-class actor. Listen, my friend, Anthony said. You could tell that he was annoyed. So then you have to go back. Oh, shoot. Hey, listen, my friend. My family and I have no more desire to return to your land. So I would love to hear just like some great actor do that one.
Liam Neeson delivers a monologue.
And then he does it, and you'd go like, Liam, that was fantastic as always. You're the greatest. Just have a note here. You could tell that he was annoyed. Oh, you never said annoyed.
Could you not tell I was annoyed? I was pretty annoyed. I'm annoyed now, that's for sure.
So put some more. If you could just put a little more. I don't want to tell you. It's all on you. If you want to, that's what it says here. You
want me to be annoyed? No. We want to be able to tell that you're annoyed. It's different.
Yes, it's a totally different. You could tell.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like me? No, who knows? The you
can
is.
Tell. No, I can tell that he's a no. You know what? Anthony Hopkins would have taken this note. Oh, so here we go.
No, you know what? You're the actor. You decide who you is and who's annoyed and who can tell that you're annoyed or who is the person that's annoyed. And
don't give me this. You're the actor thing. You're the director. You just threw a bunch of words at me. I don't know how to.
Anyway, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it. I would just mess it up. You go ahead and do it.
Yeah. And how do I pronounce Patua? By the way.
oh boy.
They make it out. They climb up some vines, and they say, like, we can never allow anyone to come back here again. So we have to bury the map. They throw it back down into the pit and close the sarcophagus.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly the ground inside the pyramid began to shake. Dirt and small pieces of rock fell off the walls. The sarcophagus closed up. And then they run out with the chimp and everything. The group finally made it out of the pyramid. Suddenly the entire pyramid collapsed on itself. Everyone ran as far away from the pyramid as they could. The pyramid destroyed itself.
So, local tourist economy ruined.
Economy ruined? Didn't it say that, yeah, thousands of tourists visited every year?
Yes.
Yeah, thousands of tourists and curious archaeologists that traveled before. So, there's
the death toll is off the charts.
Yeah, a whole bus load of, Chinese tourists is never making it home, like a Boy Scout troop maybe.
We've done our biggest death toll, right? Wasn't it in was it Edison's Conquest?
Oh yeah.
But some pretty big ones, obviously Super Constitution and stuff. But this is this is pretty tragic.
Yeah, and the Martians, a lot of the Martians had an intact Earth, but it was a war and all that. This is just hitting self-destruct on the Louvre or something and being like, well.
Yep.
Can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
Gotta
there was no omelet. They were just...
Got to get the teens out of there.
Oh, and then what else?
Well, they get back. Yeah, we'll wrap up here. But the death of... Should we just go to Benjamin?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So they go back. They have to do the reverse yet again. They do, so... so they're worried about the big snake in the waterfall. And Benjamin goes, don't worry about it ever. I got it. So Benjamin looked at his remaining men and said sarcastically, let's go. We got a big snake to chase. Benjamin's men started laughing.
We did just cheat death. And
I guess I should have done that funnier. Let's go. We got a big snake to chase.
Oh, I love it when he does that voice. Yeah, Benjamin.
Benjamin and his men began to climb up the rocks behind the waterfall. Benjamin went first. His men followed behind him. Yeah, if he went first, they followed. Benjamin took his time so he wouldn't fall off the rocks and land in the Nile River beneath him. I mean, that's just smart.
Sure.
Benjamin made it up to the top and yelled down for his men to hurry up. He yelled down, "Come on, guys, there's nothing up here. The snake is gone. It's safe." Just as Benjamin said, it is safe, which he did not say. Sorry, sure. I'm editorializing.
It, yep.
The gigantic snake jumped through the air from over the waterfall and wrapped his entire body around Benjamin. The snake, you see, had set a trap with the humans as the prey and it as the hunter. Benjamin was the snake's victim. When Benjamin's men saw him being squeezed by the gigantic creature, they hurried back down the rocks to get as far away from the creature as they could.
Incredible sequence. Incredible.
Benjamin, the guy who they just kind of drove over to his place, like, hey, do you want to go retrieve some teens? And he's like, whatever, sarcastically.
Yeah.
And then he's wrapped up. His end is like so good.
The most, comedic timing of the whole book. I imagine the snake, had coiled its body into a spring so it could jump, because otherwise I don't know how a snake can jump.
But as he's going down being squeezed by the creature, I'm assuming he was doing like a, can you believe this, snake? Kind of sarcasm. And his men were like, hi, there's Benjamin.
That's
the
great.
Guy's the best.
Guess it wasn't too safe. Oh.
Splash.
But then the way, so that is extremely funny. I think we can all agree. But then the way they describe it is also extremely funny. Rebecca ran over to her father and cried, "Dad." Anthony yelled, "Cover your eyes, baby," which is a weird little, I guess he can't call her man, but he shielded Rebecca's eyes so she couldn't see what was happening. I think she's already seen, if he's falling off the waterfall with a snake wrapped around him. Elizabeth ran over to Babatunde to comfort him. Babatunde was witnessing the end of a very close friend.
Wow.
So that's an interesting way to put it. Elizabeth understood Babatunde and whispered, "I'm so sorry, Babatunde. I'm so sorry." The gigantic snake fell off the cliff all the way down into the Nile River. It took Benjamin with it. The teens and their remaining rescuers started climbing up the rocks again to safety. They lost their friend Benjamin forever. The group finally made it out of the jungle. They were all happy to be home. We'll be processing these traumas for decades. Hooray! That's the most time that's ever been spent on a character's death, I feel like, in one of these books.
Benjamin. Speaking of burning bright, man. Oh.
And then, so once they get back there, they're sort of saying goodbye to Samira, Jabril, and Babatunde. And they're like, are you ever going to visit us in England? And Samira is like, I don't think so. I still have to face my mother. I think she's going to ground me for the rest of my life. And I just imagine, the sounds of Benjamin's widow is like she's making noises you didn't know a human could make as she wails and rends her garments. Like
she's doing the tossing the dirt over her head. Like,
guess I should kiss prom goodbye.
Oh, this one, she's tough on me. She's gonna ground me for life.
Benjamin's wife is just stabbing at herself with the knife is too blunt. You can't do it. You can't kill yourself with that, Benjamin's widow.
And also they just keep referring it to Africa again, by the way. Please come back to Africa again.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, we'll just tell the flight, what is it called? The travel agent, that's where we want to go. And
yeah,
sure she'll send us back here.
We'd like to go to Africa. Oh, yeah, you'll end up here. That's fine. So then I just have it, like, I cannot believe that it ends with this, but it's my favorite thing ever. The ending does not disappoint.
It does not. It's fantastic.
So why don't you read it?
Well, so they're in the hotel, and they've all opened up their backpacks, which are stuffed with millions of dollars worth of diamonds, rubies, and jade. And the dad is like, well, you weren't supposed to take anything. Your mother and I have never stolen anything from our adventures. We've always turned them over to the proper authorities, which I just imagine was like, the British Museum. That's where that's the true owner of all this stuff. But then they are like, the parents' backpacks are also stuffed with the jewels. So they were carrying weighty gems this whole journey as well. Across
for a
the
long
jungle.
ways, and didn't notice it and didn't think anything of it.
They didn't go to get, the remaining beef jerky and being like, oh my God, like, I thought our pack was full of food, but like, it wasn't. It was full of these gems. They're worthless. We're going to die.
And they went to, like smash the snake with their backpacks, and all of a sudden, like rubies are flying out all over. Where did these come from?
Can Benjamin's widow have any of those? No, it's not. We won't be telling her about these kids. That's not, this is your college fund here. Come on. But then so here's how it ends. The Turner family finally, do we know their name was Turner? That's an interesting one. How many times did Turner come up here?
I don't think it.
5 times in the whole book. Finally boarded their private plane and headed home. They were finally on their way back to England. Back at the mansion, the chimpanzee Patua sat on the floor. I guess he made it through customs. He opened up Rebecca's backpack. Patua pulled out some of the diamond jewels and started playing with them. Patua put some of the jewels in his mouth and some on the top of his head. There was millions of dollars worth of jewels in the backpacks, and the chimpanzee Patua was playing with them like they were toys. Read the last line of the book, please.
Elizabeth, Anthony, and the teen archaeologists all laughed at the chimpanzee Patua.
He smiles. He's got the gems on all his teeth like a rapper's grill.
Oh, I say, this is cracking good stuff.
Absolutely smashing humor from you. I'm glad we brought this chimpanzee back with us.
28 days later, the Mopec flu has wiped out all of Britain, and we trace it back to a chimpanzee that was smuggled through customs.
Wow.
Let's do the Andy Rooney game. How did that work with the first and final sentence of the book?
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right.
That's a good point.
Let's see. I don't remember what the first sentence was.
I don't. Who would remember it? I'll have the last sentence if you read the first.
Rebecca was watching television in the living room while dressed in her ballet clothes and dancing around in the middle of the room.
Elizabeth, Anthony, and the teen archaeologists all laughed at the chimpanzee Patua. So not bad.
It rolls off his tongue. Yeah, I forgot that she was a ballerina and Billy was a drummer. And
Shut up, Billy! You shut up!
Mrs. Pendleton was not here. Mrs. Pendleton should have fainted when they brought in the chimpanzee Patua.
No. Wow.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Doesn't disappoint. Just glorious. Glorious, I'd say.
Absolutely
Glorious.
incredible.
What a ride. I'm so grateful for the people that made it happen and the guy who bought it on eBay and digitized it. It's just what a ride. Probably our longest episode so far, but we should
Our
wrap it up
longest
with the
ever.
sentences. Yeah, right? We got to. This will be a quick hit list because
Sure.
a lot of people sent them in. Let's do the dinosaur. Wasn't the kind of dinosaur to just give up and run away. All the men knew that. Dan submitted. Rebecca's brother Billy said, "The jungle is their kingdom now." Reminding of your relationship 3/4 of the way through the book. Mike submitted, "They played drums, bongos, guitars, flutes, and other musical instruments." John, Elio, and Harris all submit. Oh, sorry. John, Elliot, and Harris all submitted, "I miss you cheating on me when we..." Sorry. Freudian. "I miss you cheating me when we play knockers in the garden with the balls." That would look good on like a cross stitch, I feel like.
Yes.
Scott submitted, "The creature took the back of his left hand and knocked Sebastian's men Waldo, Aaron, Madison, Magnus, Dallas, Vadimus, Jason, Ignacio, and Baldwin into some trees." Heather's son Danny, I think he's like 9. "It doesn't really matter who I am, but my name is Sebastian." The fact that Heather has made her sons read this book is incredible. Heather's son Billy submitted, "They just looked at each other with a non-caring attitude." And then, I thought I had Heather's. I think she must have submitted one. Oh, yeah. Nathan, Heather, Piper, and Jen submitted, "The dinosaur wanted to hunt them, destroy them, and then eat them, and not necessarily in that order." Josh submitted, "She is not a warrior king," because without a comma after warrior, it makes you laugh. Cynthia submitted, "They celebrated the prince's engagement and the defeat of the gorilla beast." Christine submitted, "They took the warriors' spears from them and held them hostage." She's asked, why are they holding the spears hostage? Harrison submitted, "Suddenly a gigantic gorilla who was about 21 feet tall and weighed over 800 pounds ran right up behind Sebastian and his group of thieves." And he said that according to the site A to Z Animals, which sounds quite like Fax King for the animal kingdom, the average silverback gorilla male stands 6 feet tall and weighs 350 to 500 pounds. And the largest one was weighed at 860 pounds. So they have a 21-foot gorilla that weighs 800 pounds. He says it's the gorilla version of Slenderman.
Yeah, he's very trim.
Robert submitted, "Tex, Alexis, Latifa, Catalina, and Benitha ran up to the children and gave them big hugs." I just want to see if there's anything named Benitha out there. Oh, yeah, Benitha Younger. That's a tribute to someone.
What?
It's a character in A Raisin in the Sun.
Oh, okay.
We are just ignorant. There we go.
Sorry. I've seen Raisin in the Sun. It's good.
I'll be hiding beneath my desk to make up for that embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly.
Keith and Sarah submitted, "He was disappointed in the prince that he decided to let go of him emotionally and just moved on with his life." That was Victor, remember?
Yes.
Jackson submitted, "He was being a male chauvinist." Turn to camera. Arthur submitted, "The prince has the option of banishing me from the kingdom if I oppose him without proof." And he just commented, "It's by itself unobjectionable but utterly absurd in a story where a signed letter outlining the conspiracy has literally fallen into the princess's lap." Amy and Justin submitted, "Everyone was escorted to the resting chambers to rest." Janelle submitted, thank you for your hospitality, but we have to go now. And she said that was just after just as they were about to be sent to prison for check notes walking into the land of the Mopek. Amanda and Nolan submitted, the snake had set a trap with the humans as the prey and it as the hunter. Balaji submitted, they were twice the size of the regular ostrich and had 5 times the strength. Skylar and Alejandro submitted, it doesn't really matter who I am, but my name is Sebastian. I think someone else submitted that there. Benjamin submitted, oh wow, he's submitting one about Benjamin. Just as Benjamin said, it is safe. The gigantic snake jumped through the air over the waterfall and wrapped his entire body around Benjamin. He said, I have not laughed so hard in this entire book. Hayden and John, this one I glossed over. Remember, I told all of you about the death of my grandfather and the statue that has been resurrected in his honor.
Wow.
Imagine being a statue, one of them said, and then having the existential horror of life being thrust upon you. Lindsay submitted, you could also see a lot of smoke. She or he is the one who pointed out the transition to second person. And then Amy submitted, the rebels all had handmade spears in their hands. And Amy said, this implies that the Mopek warriors have machine manufactured or mass produced spears. Maybe they're welded, just like the swords in Antigua. Just another intriguing glimpse into the economy of the Mopek. Brother, what do I else have? I have
one that was not covered. Should I do it?
Sure.
It's very short, but it depends upon no punctuation.
Okay.
And it is take Patua honey. I don't think anyone wants to take Patua honey, whatever that is.
Patua honey sounds gross. I'll stick with my Tupelo honey. Thank you.
Yes.
I'll stick with, whatever. I put it at the end and we emphasized it, but I'll use a look of fear came on everyone's face.
All right.
Oh, how about this? King Trishan said with a worried expression on his face, he is on an island across the waters of the Mopek that is full of dinosaurs. That sums up the book pretty nicely. That would make a great comic panel.
Oh, very good. Wow. Okay. We got through it. That was the longest reading of all time, right?
That was a long one. I hope we didn't discount anything. I don't think we did, but that was fantastic. Thanks to everyone who supported the book, supported the podcast on Patreon, who read along with a hard-to-find one. It was really great fun.
Yeah. Thank you all. That was really fun.
All right.
We're done.
Yep. Let's move along to something a little cozier, maybe.